Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is C-Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 233 of Beer and Other Shit, the podcast Adjunct series. Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing something exciting tonight. We are heading down to Western New York, which is essentially our backyard here, and we're going to be chatting with, essentially a brewery that is hundreds of years old, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it is, which is extraordinarily exciting. This is a brewery that is a franchise or satellite location of a German brewery in Buffalo, New York. And I've been a couple of times. And last time I was there, the manager enjoyed our, I believe his name was Jason. He met our dog and he loved the dogs. We were talking, casually mentioned the podcast. He's like, "Oh, have you seen the Outback?" I'm like, "No, I'd love to." So he took us out, and then we met the gentleman that I'm about to speak to tonight. And it's just so sick because it's a, on the pod here, we've talked a lot about lagers and just being really crispy focused. And I feel like whilst Nate and I have a strong passion for the style, I don't know as much about it as I would like. So I really, really, really enjoy talking to masters of the style, people who can break all these things down into simple terms and just sort of how a lot of the different things work. So I'm really excited to get into it. I think this is very very different. The only other time we've probably done anything like this when we had Rodenbach on in 2019, and that was crazy. So this is sick. I'm so excited. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this going. Please welcome. Here we go. If I bring it right up, we're good. Scott from Hofbräu Buffalo in the building.
Hey,
Scott, welcome, brother. Let's go, dude. Great to have you, man. Thank you so much for doing this tonight. This is awesome.
thank you so much for having me.
Man, such a pleasure. Yeah, man, it was so cool. Just like a nice little serendipitous meeting. It was Jason, right? The
Manager was Jason.
Okay, beautiful. I'll make sure I shout him out. Yeah, dude, it was so cool. It was really great to meet you, and just you gave us such a fun tour, and just to see the slight you were pointing out the differences between what we might have seen at other breweries and then this specific setup, which obviously is made for certain styles, and it's just cool. And you were just a lot of the things you were saying, I was like, oh, this would be such phenomenal conversation. So we're going to get into all those things tonight about how you work with we always say how you work with Munich, which is just like a cool way to say it, and all the freedoms you have and that you don't have, and which is a great thing, the 1516 purity law and all that fun stuff. So dude, super excited. And I came down on Friday last week, and we both have 5 crowlers, which is awesome. I don't think I've had crowlers on the show before, which is amazing. And we are kicking off with the OG, the premium lager, which I think on Untapped it says original. That would be the original, right?
It was the original, because we're a franchise, and our water profile is a little bit different coming off of Lake Erie. So it's slightly different than the original lager. So they had me switch the name to premium lager.
Gotcha. Okay. That's fun. Interesting. But it's essentially the same recipe. It's just
it's very, very same. Yes.
Amazing. Let's do it, brother. Let's get into it. So this one is the 5.1%, the OG, the one that if people would know Hofbräu for this specific beer, this would be the flagship, I imagine.
Yes. This is our flagship beer.
Amazing. Look at that. Beautiful. Tell us about this one. So it obviously, I mean, I'm saying obviously as if it's a fact, but is it I should have pulled that harder. A German style Helles? Is that a fair take?
Yeah, it would be a German or Bavarian style, very similar to a Helles. I can brew a little bit different version, which is a Helles.
Okay.
But this would be categorized under a Bavarian Helles style.
Gotcha. Okay. And anything, so aside from the recipes provided from the folks in Munich, and then you essentially you're tasked at replicating it to the best of your abilities, given the restrictions such as water would probably be the primary one, I would imagine.
Yeah, because we operate as a satellite of Bavaria, a satellite of Munich. We fall under the Bavarian Reinheitsgebot, which is the Bavarian purity law of 1516 that I can only use water, malt, hops, and yeast. Can't modify my water. Even specific ingredients can only go into certain vessels at certain times. So there's a lot of restriction, a lot of
Okay.
keeping it tight on there.
And okay, that makes complete sense. And that was sort of what we were touching on, which is what I'm super interested to chat about more tonight, as far as what that is, what that looks like. But the grain, is it like Wyman, German style, German grain type stuff?
Yeah,
Yes?
I
Okay.
deal specifically. Yeah, my malts are straight Weirman.
Everything. Okay.
Yep.
Hops in this one, or yeah, is there any specific ones that you use?
This one has typically Hallertau Magnum is a bittering hop,
Okay.
and then Spalter Select and Pearl as my flavor and aroma additions on there.
And is that that's a recipe from Munich?
It's close to it. What was offered to me, as long as we arrive at the same destination, I could take a little bit different path on there.
That's
not very far off.
Gotcha. I'm a little surprised with that in like a good way, because I was thought that it would be a little more like, no, they have to be, these are the hops, or we supply the hops or something. But because I was gonna say Pearl is, correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's not a German hop, that's like a North American hop?
It's a lesser known German style. It still comes from the Hallertau Valley. Not many breweries use it, but it still gives that noble hop, a little bit of spice, a little bit of floral note to it.
Is it a derivative, or is Triple Pearl a derivative of that one?
I believe so, yes. It back in the day, it started out as Pearl, and then they just kept crossbreeding till they got the Triple Pearl.
Gotcha, because I do know that when I think of Triple Pearl, it's that peppery note is the main, the primary thing, which is why when you mention that, I'm like, oh, maybe they are related. This is exceptional. The if I weren't talking to you, I would probably I'll be like, oh, this is a Helles lager, because it's sort of, it's not like the Czech style with that sort of bit more bitey hop presence. It's got a nice malty sweetness, very balanced, very crushable. The the hop, a little bit grassy, like a mild grassy sort of bitterness, and that little peppery sort of note in the background there. Exceptional. So the difference have you compared like this one side by side with like a bottle from Germany?
Yeah, the bottle from Germany, I mean, they flash pasteurize it. It sits on a boat for a month or two coming over. So
yeah,
I get it. It's, if I let mine age and did the same thing, then they would be very spot on the same. But getting it from here, it's a lot fresher. So it's a little fresher.
Right. So I guess you haven't done the test where you've been to Germany, chucked them in a suitcase and brought it back and done the closest thing to that at all?
I have not. Our international brewmaster, Braumeister, when he comes over, he usually packs some fresh bottles so we can do side by sides.
That's fun. That's sick. That's so cool. And is that rule that you mentioned where they let you have a little bit of liberty within reason, like you said, to end up at the same destination? Does that apply to all the beers that you make that are from their side?
I would say yes. Because our water is different, our malts, our hops, the yeast, those are all the same. The biggest variable we have is water. Because of Reinheitsgebot, I can't manipulate my water. I can only filter it. So it's Lake Erie, it's city municipal water. I filter it down, but I can't add any minerals or salts to get it super close. So with the water, I kind of have to work with what I have.
I forgot you told me that when you were giving me the tour. And that was the thing, because I was like, oh, sick. Like, I know that like brewers have explained to me, you essentially get the reverse osmosis water, strip everything out, and then you can add everything back in based on the water profile of any given place. And they have like a brewer's telling me about like you can get water reports from basically any city in the world. If you're making a style from a certain place, it needs to replicate. Even if you're making like trying to do a Pliny clone, you need the wet, California water profile. You can get that to get as close. But I do remember you telling me that, and that's interesting, because I almost feel like I get it, but it almost just seems like, really though, like water chemistry, it seems almost a little like a sticklery. But
yeah, if there was anything I could change about it, it would be my water chemistry.
Yeah. How far, like, on a maybe in layman's terms, but with a chemistry lens, could you simply explain the sort of primary differences between perhaps the Bavarian water and then the Buffalo water?
We pull our water from Lake Erie, so it's Great Lake water. Hofbräuhaus Munich will pull from a really deep well in the mountains. So the mineral content's a little bit different. What we see, especially this time of year, with it being so cold outside, Lake Erie is about 95-96% frozen. So a lot of the mineral content increases for this time of year. So we kind of have to massage the rest of the recipe a little bit to go off of that. But during the summer, water is pretty good. During the winter, the minerals they increase pretty significantly just due to freezing and concentration. So the Bavarian water is a little bit softer than what we have here. So if I were to brew, I mean, I do one hoppy style beer per year. But outside of that, if I went to brew, if I had the ability to brew like IPAs or even like English styles, my water profile is way off for that. It's not going to give me what I want.
Understood. Okay, that was a great explanation. Thanks, man. Okay, when you said you brew a hoppy beer, what can you do? Or what do you
with that? That's my June release. It's a Hofbräu. So I can only use two different types of yeast, top fermenting and a bottom fermenting. Okay. So all of my lager beers are bottom fermenting yeast, right. And ale cider top fermenting are all Weiss beers. So I have to use the Hefeweizen strain on there.
Okay.
So what I will do for like the Hofbräu, while it's fermenting, I'll kind of split the temperature. So in between where I would get clove and where I would get banana, to try to run it as neutral as possible, I'll ferment it under a little bit of head pressure, stress the yeast a little bit more. And with that, I actually had to get a special variance from the Bavarian government that I could add hops to the whirlpool. So I'll actually kind of do a low temp whirlpool hopping, with the equipment I have, but like hops can only go in the boil. I can't mash hop. I can't lauter hop. I can't dry hop.
Fuck.
I had to get a special okay to be able to whirlpool hop.
No way.
So yeah, there's a lot of steps involved to even do something like that. And I use American hops for that one.
Right. Okay. So essentially a hoppy Hefeweizen is a Hopfenweizen.
Yes.
Okay. Understood. Dude, that's crazy. So the German government, the Reichsgebot, is controlled directly by them.
Yes, they are a stickler to that enforcement.
And they, as a I guess interchangeably used franchise and satellite location of a Bavarian brewery in the United States. I'm just repeating this back to you because it's crazy. In order for you to put hops instead of in the boil, which I only learned about like last week, we had Yakima Chief Hops on, and he was telling us like one of the hacks is to put some hops in the boil and stuff. I'm like, I hadn't really heard much about that. That's where you're supposed to put all the hops, but they have to give you a government issued exception to put hops in the whirlpool, and not even dry hop, like not even that far, like just one little step further.
Yes. Yeah, there was a few things I do here that I had to get a special approval for. Because
crazy.
Only Bavarian style beers. If I wanted to brew like an alt beer or Kolsch, I would get a fine. Like I would get fined for it.
By the German government?
Yes.
Because Hofbräuhaus is a German company, essentially.
Yeah, it's partially owned by the Bavarian government. So it's a government-run or government-owned brewery. There's private ownership and then government ownership. So they have to work together on that. So anything that we do, we would have to fall under the Bavarian law for that. Bavarian government rules, all that.
This is mind blowing, dude. I had no idea. We didn't get to that when we were chatting. Okay, I will probably come back to that when we tell the story. That's insane. So you can't do. You said a Kolsch or what was the other style you mentioned? I'm sorry.
I said alt beer.
Alt beer. And is that because they're not Bavarian? Because
Correct.
from Cologne, and where's alt beer from?
Dusseldorf.
Dusseldorf, of course. Okay. Wow. So that's because of the government ownership. That strictness is just because of the government ownership side.
Yes.
If it was 100% private, whether it's on the American side with a franchisee and then the Munich side is in the head office, it might be more flexible.
Yeah, I would say the leash would be a lot longer for what we could do.
Okay, so whether it's in whatever country it's in, any Bavarian brewery, they are all under that same level of strictness?
I believe yes. There's 6 Bavarian owned breweries, and they're the ones that have the main tents in Oktoberfest, like the giant. You can see 5 or 10,000 people tents.
Gotcha.
Are from those 6. I believe Hofbräuhaus is the only one with satellite breweries, satellite locations around the world.
Okay, that sounds about right. I've never seen like Polino or anything like that anywhere else. But are other breweries government owned too?
The Hacker Schuler, Augustiner, Löwenbräu, Spaten, Hofbräuhaus.
I think wine stuff.
And I gotta remember the last one.
Okay. Well, good memory remembering all those German names.
I remember those 5. I always forget the last.
So the fact that there's more than one is even like this crazy. I'm trying to think of another country that does government, probably like China or something is the only one country I can think of that has like government owned, government sort of gets in bed with the businesses. And I understand this is because of the purity law and to maintain the integrity of a series of styles. And it's sick. I don't know. All of this is so cool, but I was just a little bit surprised at some of that. I would never have thought that any of these breweries would be have that government in I was going to say intervention. It's not really the right word, but participation.
Oversight, yeah.
Oversight. That's a great word. And so those, say, 6 breweries would be, they don't have the satellite locations, but they would face the same level of strictness. They couldn't do a Kolsch and da-da-da. If any other brewery in Bavaria, generally speaking, that does not have the government oversight or ownership, are they free to do what they like?
I believe so, yes. Because there's other like Bavarian breweries that will do like a Berliner Weiss. So like sours or even brew Belgians or like American style IPAs. You'll see that all throughout Germany. Because when Germany was forming and like the different states were coming together, when Germany asked Bavaria to join, Bavaria said, "We'll join, but you have to follow our beer purity law." So there's the Bavarian law, and then there's the German purity law, which is a lot more lax, just so they can brew different styles on there.
Okay, yeah. Tell me about the German purity law in comparison.
You're not restricted where you can put your ingredients. You can brew sours. You're not stuck with just 2 strains of yeast. So a lot more freedom, but they don't like a lot of adjuncts or non-beer related going into the beer.
Okay, so no pastry stouts is what you're saying.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
I don't think you might find one, but not very often.
Not common. So then the fact Germany is a country that is, I was about to say it's pretty unique in that, but the more I was about to say, and I think other countries are similar, but where styles are very closely related to regions, like very tied in. So generally speaking, would breweries, say in Bavaria, brew generally, like maybe even it's probably better to say, because obviously we know the answer for the government owned ones, but for everybody else, like you're not going to find a Kolsch in Bavaria. Like the point is to go to Cologne, or you're not going to find a Dortmund, or you're not going to find an Altbier. Is that a typical thing where like breweries just really stick to the thing that they do, that their region does?
Yeah, you'll see a little bit of variance, like some small breweries, or even like in Dortmund, or even in Kern. There might be a couple other styles thrown in, but
Okay.
very regional based over the centuries. This is what we brew. We brew it well. You want to come here? This is what you're going to get.
Mm. There's something kind of like beautifully simple and cool about that, particularly because like, and I was about to say like it's the only country, but even if I think about just the U.S. where West Coast IPA started out west, that was the point, and then they spread. And New England IPAs started in New England, Vermont IPA started there and spread. Um, and then everywhere in the world does all those things now, just like everywhere in the world does what we're drinking here, but it's not from there. So, but it's I think it's like, I don't know. I guess it encourages tourism. It just seems like, you do those. What's the name of the glasses? The Kolsch glasses again? It's called like
The Stang, or
Stang.
Stang. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, them joints where you do the thing and they just keep bringing them around the little, and you just keep getting them and you put the coaster
Until you
on
put
them.
your coaster on.
Yeah, which I haven't been. I've been to Berlin, but 20 years ago before I knew jack about beer. So I'm very excited to go and explore in detail and see it. But there's something that just seems so like just so cool that's like we're not really used to, because we're just spoiled for choice out here, like in the Western. I mean, I know Germany's a Western country too, but in like the maybe where our culture's a little more chill, like Australia, Canada, US, New Zealand. We're all colonies essentially, or sort of started that way. Yeah, there's something sort of like so cool about that. That like you go to Bavaria, you're going to have certain styles. You're going to go down like Cologne is actually almost kind of wild where there's just the one style. Is that correct? Is that fair to say? That basically you're really only going to get Kolsch there?
Yeah, you might find like a small nano brewery that might do some other special ones, but for the most part, you go there, you're gonna have that style.
You're Kolsching it up. Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's really cool. It's just like it's something that maybe we're not used to, and I think I don't know about when I got into beer, like the whole point was the variety, so that would have been so boring to me. But now, this far down, I'm like, that's just sick. Like it'd be kind of like refreshing to know if I'm going to Kolsch, Cologne, my expectations is that's the one style I'm going to have, and I'm actually excited to see the slight differences in all the different breweries in this one very specific style. It's like just such a cool experience. I don't know. I love it. I love the whole idea of it. So,
Yeah, it's super cool. I haven't been to Germany in 30, probably close to little over 30 years.
Okay.
So I was a teenager when I was there.
You probably didn't know what you know now.
Correct.
Correct.
Did I have beer while I was there? Yes. Do I remember it? Not really.
Not at all. Just Bitburger and fucking whatever else they go on. I remember we went in like 2004. So yeah, it was 22 years ago almost. But it was December. So we went to all like the Christmas markets, and you could get like the bratwurst on the thing. And like I drank beer and I liked trying stuff, but I didn't know anything. Probably same as you I would have been 23 or something. So but a child. But it was cool just having like whichever country I went to tried like the macro beer because I didn't know anything else. And it's cool. I don't know. There's something about that, just being exposed to like be like, all right, cool. I know Germany bratwurst. We want that stuff, and I want that. The local beer with it. It's like a fun experience. So even if you don't know anything, it's pretty cool. But I would imagine now, what I was surprised about, and is sending you there as the guy who's responsible for the whole business, is sending you to Germany for a bit of a, educational trip for a few weeks or something. Is that ever like on the cards? Is that something that they do?
I have asked for that specifically. Okay. Have not been able to get the trigger pulled on that one yet.
Damn it. I just feel like that would just be like a, selfish needs aside. Like, I feel like it would be super helpful for just the company to know, like, obviously you're making this exquisite beer and you're doing it to perfection, to style, to the law, literally. But there'd be, imagine what you could pick up. It's almost like, how, the Czech government does that thing where they send the brewers over. Are you familiar with that? Yeah. Like, I guess that's the Czech government, so it is different, and it's essentially a sales pitch of a trip, like trying to sell you Luca taps and which are the best and all that sort of stuff. But I just think that would be just so beneficial for you. I could imagine just being like a work trip as opposed to you take your vacay and you head out there with the family or something. It'd be so sick.
Yeah, it's on my wish list.
Yeah.
If I was invited, if I ever come over, I can go tour, I can hang out in the lab, I can crash on one of the brewers' couches for the trip. I just
Sure.
have to get over there for it.
That would just be like, I wonder if they would. I just imagine like if you went obviously to the main brewery, which has got to be bonkers. I would guess like all the different small things you could pick up from them, like you said, the master brewer. Excuse me, and just seeing the facilities and just you'd have so many small questions. So it'd be a series of 1% tweaks, but would still at the end of the day, it's gonna be better product in Buffalo because you go there and you learn more about all the different styles that you're making. It's kind of feels like a no-brainer, but got a petition, I guess, eh?
Yeah, a little bit more.
Yeah,
a little harder.
That's crazy. I love it. Let's get into your story, bro. When we first met, we sort of touched on it like very high level. How did you personally discover craft beer, and then talk us through your career in beer leading up to Hofbräu?
Okay, I'm up here in Buffalo now. Before I was in Buffalo, I was down in Tampa, Florida. I was encouraged by my brother, originally from Pennsylvania. My brother, who was a home brewer, like he homebrewed beer, he made wine, he made cider, he made mead. He was a truck driver, so he could start it and then go away for like 2 weeks and come back and keep working on it. Like it was built-in patience.
That's cool.
He had encouraged me, like, go to a homebrew class. So I signed up for one and did a homebrew class and started homebrewing. Very basic, out of my apartment, and was reading, studying, just absorbing everything I could about it, and joined one of the Tampa homebrew clubs and make beer, bring it over there. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to see how this kind of runs. Let me just kind of go with it and see what I can do with it. And I ended up in a small brewery outside of Tampa as a bartender. So I started from pouring it, and then over there started working my way backwards back in the brewery. From there, I was able to, they were doing a collaboration. The brewery we were collaborating with had an opening for an assistant brewer. So I was able to jump over there as an assistant brewer. And then the head brewer actually left there and came up to Buffalo to start a brewery up here. So I took his position, and I worked there for a few years. And then some opportunities up here, not with him. He actually didn't know I was coming up at first, but then he found out I came up because I was making fun of him. I'm like, it's Tampa. It's warm. It's beautiful. It's great. And then it's Buffalo. Like, why would you go to Buffalo? And then I came up here and interviewed and fell in love with Buffalo. Like, okay, I get it. I get it around here. I love it up here.
It's a cool place.
Yeah, super cool town.
Yeah, just Western New York, period. I'm way more impressed than I ever thought I would be. With just generally the people that like Canadians, we're all like really similar, I feel like, culturally. And everyone's lovely. The food is great. The beer is great. The vibes are actually really cool. Like, I feel like Buffalo gets shit on a bit as a town. People make fun of it. And so does Hamilton, where I live. People make fun of Hamilton all the time, particularly Toronto motherfuckers. It pisses me off. But it's sick. And I just really like resonate with that. I think Buffalo is I was in Montreal for 10 years, and then I was going to Vermont all the time. So I was like, oh, great. So now my closest city is like Buffalo, great. And beyond impressed. I just feel like it's just come up so much. When did all this happen, by the way? When did you first move to Buffalo?
I moved up here in April. It'll be 10 years.
Awesome.
So I moved up in 2016.
Okay. So that means you got into beer not too long before then, potentially.
It was like 3 or 4 years before that.
Okay.
Because I've been in commercial brewing, probably coming up on 14 years now.
Damn. Okay. So you're not messing around. So you just basically fell in love with Buffalo, moved around to a few different breweries in that time up here before landing at Hofbräu. When? Yeah.
A previous brewery I was at that I moved up to was 12 Gates Brewing, which unfortunately is no longer around, but it was in Williamsville, probably about 20 minutes from here in the suburbs. was over there, and this place, Hofbräuhaus, was already in planning for a few years to open, and they actually approached me about it. Hey, we know you love brewing German beer, you love German culture, you love the whole thing. Would you mind coming over and talking to us? And I did, and just kind of started the ball rolling for that, to be able to come over here. But because it's a Hofbräuhaus and the Bavarian government's involved, I actually had to go through about a 3-month vetting process for them to approve me to come over here. So it was a long process, multiple interviews, a lot of Skype calls, questioning all of my knowledge and techniques on there.
That's crazy. When was that, by the way?
That was coming up 2019.
Okay.
I've been here for almost 7 years.
Almost 7. Okay.
So yeah, it would have been 2019.
Okay. So how did they know that you, I imagine, were you just like making a lot of German beers at your, like the other breweries that you're at?
Yeah, we were very IPA heavy, but given the opportunity, I would brew some Belgians, but my love was really nice German lagers.
Right.
Buffalo's in Erie County. Erie Community College has a campus over by where, like a mile away from, 2 kilometers from like where 12 Gates was.
Okay.
So I was involved in, they had a brewing science program there. So I got hooked up with them. So I would go over and like guest speak a lot of times, or I would host brewing classes for them. So bring them over to 12 Gates, get a whole bunch of other local brewers in, and we would, as a panel, just critique everybody's beers and try to help everybody out. And one of the students was involved here at Hofbräuhaus. So I built a relationship with him for that. And that was kind of my transition. That was my contact person for that.
That's cool. That's really dope, because then you really kind of got, like, even we got the contact, but still it sounds like you also had a bit of a rep for being the dude who's really into German stuff, and you knew your shit without sort of living and working in. You know, a lot of people go through the school there. The name's escaping me, but isn't there like there's a big brewing school that a lot of sort of people go out to study in Germany specifically? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know the one in Germany, and there was the Siebel Institute, which was in Chicago. But it's
moving to Montreal.
You moved to Montreal. That's right.
Crazy.
Yeah, I knew it moved up your way for that one.
Yeah.
In Germany, there's the VLB. They're in Berlin. And then it's like the Munich School of Technology, almost like down here, like MIT, or in Rochester, close to us, there's RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology.
Right.
In Munich, they have their big brewing school, and it's actually based out of Weichstephaner. So the world's oldest brewery, you get to learn from like 1,000 years of knowledge on there.
Literally, I saw that. It was like it started in 1100 or something.
Yeah, it's in around there. It's coming up on like 1077 or something. It's going to be coming up to 1,000 years old for a brewery.
It's so
Which
crazy.
is insane.
Absolutely bonkers. But that's sick that you were able to sort of make that transition. And was this something that you was this a challenge that you were like looking for, or it kind of fell in your lap as far as like, obviously you said, you know, you're brewing typical American style stuff along with this fun stuff as well, and Belgian and everything. But was this like, when it was presented, was this like, oh, this is pretty dope? Because then you're really dialing in the German to like a whole other level.
Yeah, it's but at 12 Gates, it was a lot of creativity in the season where you had to have something new every week. So it was a lot of the creative side of the brewing, coming up with new stuff all the time, versus like what I do now, which is very technical brewing.
Right.
Like every beer I brew, because Munich can't be here to sample my beer, every beer I brew, I have to send a sample to a lab for full analysis. I get a copy of it, and then Munich gets a copy of it, and then we bounce our notes back and forth. Well, we have discussions on the different beers
No way.
to make sure, like my core beers, the premium lager, the Hefeweizen, and the Dunkel, the tolerances are very, very, very tight on those. My specialty beers, I have a lot more freedom with, but those core beers, if they're outside of the parameters, I will dump them.
God damn.
A lot of beer to dump sometimes. Hasn't happened in a long time.
I guess in the early stages, it would have been like just trial and error, I guess, and just part of like the teething.
It was, and because these beers are very malt forward, malt heavy, getting that dialed in is it was pretty easy for us. The hopping was pretty good. We were having some anomalies with our yeast. So it would under attenuate or like under ferment or way over ferment, and it was just all over the place. We were able to get that figured out, and so we're consistent every time. But I would have a Hefeweizen, which is usually around 5.1% alcohol. It was at like 4%, or it would run to 6%. And the ingredients were the same, brewing process was the same. It's just the yeast was just doing whatever it wanted to.
Right.
We were able to really figure that one out. That was our biggest headache. After that, we've been golden.
Okay. So then, is it you were there from the beginning, at the opening of the Buffalo Hofbräuhaus?
Yeah, I actually, when I started here, construction was about 50% of the way through. Most of the equipment was still sitting in Europe. So there was a couple bright tanks here. My boiler was here. The fermenters were here, but they were just shoved in a corner. So when I started, it was basically build the brewery from scratch.
So you designed it, or they designed it?
The equipment was designed. The layout we pretty well knew, but actually getting it here, getting it all set up, mating all the European technology, all the power supplies, all the outlets, which are all German and Austrian, to mate it up with US standards, US voltages. There was a lot of going from metric system to American imperial system, trying to get those to work, and making friends with some electrical companies in England, because they would be able to switch it back and forth. So I made some friends there just to be able to get this thing up and running.
Damn. Okay. And you showed me that side room. So you go into the cold room where there's a bunch of fermenters, and if you sort of turn left, there was this room with had a couple of taps, but you had this like wall of just like pipes of like little small ones. It was bonkers. And I think you were saying a brewer friend of yours like help you set it up to try and connect everything. I think that was kind of like the draft system, because it sounds like it pours from the tanks.
Yes, yeah. Our system, we operate off of 4,000 liters. Bright tanks are serving tanks,
okay,
or 2,000 liter tanks, and so being able to plumb it from those tanks into the cooler with a manifold wall, plumbing that in, and then the building's big, so the draft runs are really long here. Being able to build that, design it, and balance it all out. I hit up a friend of mine who was a local brewer who had. His was 10 times worse than mine. He built a brewery in a grain silo, which is actually over at Riverworks on the other side of the river from here. So he built a brewery in a grain silo and had to get that from the grain silo the whole way over to a giant facility. So there was no need for me to reinvent the wheel, because he had figured it out. So I hit him up, and he gave me a lot of pointers for that.
That's awesome. Jeez. Okay, so you were really like instrumental with this. And then before we should get to the next beer, but the test batches you were saying that you were dumping when the yeast wasn't attenuating or whatever, was that pre-opening?
There was 2 or 3 pre-opening. Since we were been open coming up on 5 years, formally open. I've had like 3, and it's always been a yeast issue.
Okay, so it's always been that. Okay.
Yeah, the yeast was just doing whatever it wanted to, not what I wanted it to do.
Damn. Those damn living organisms. I feel you. Let's do this next one, and then we'll get into the story of the brewery, because I know that you know that, and then we'll get into the real specifics of Buffalo a bit more. What are we thinking, bro?
We can jump over to the Hefeweizen.
Let's do it. So this is obviously an ale. One
Yes.
of the ones you were talking about with the ale yeast. Nope, not that one. I love these. Like, just want to show these. So I've never seen this before. Like sick crowler holders. So if you go into Hofbräu, they do not in Buffalo. They do not have bottles, obviously, because everything's brewed in house. But you can absolutely get stuff to go. I thought that was so cool. Ugh. And it's almost like it feels like scary. I feel like I'm gonna burst it or something. I know they're robust things.
Oh yeah, they snap in really hard.
Yeah, really tight. So the Hefeweizen, this is 5 point. Is it 5.7? Yeah.
5.1. Sorry,
5.1.
my
Oh,
numbers. Yeah.
That way. No, you're good. Don't worry. Nobody uses pens anymore. Who does that except doctors? So this little gem, Hefeweizen. This is not. I've actually I feel like Hefeweizens I drank so much back in the day, but I don't think I've had. Oh, this. Why is it not coming up? Does it have a different name? If it's Hofbräu Hefeweizen, would it be?
It might be Hefeweißbier, but it should come in as Hefeweizen. It might be two words, Hefe and Weizen.
Okay, let me try that one. It could have HEF. Hefeweizen Dunkel. Oh, interesting. Münchner Weisse.
Oh, okay. Yeah, München Weisse.
München Weisse.
That might be how that's listed from there.
That'd be the one, 5.1. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a style. Back in the day when I got into beer really heavy in 2011. Back then, there was all the hype stuff or whatever. And I found that I would love and back in Australia there was in Melbourne there's a place called the Belgian Beer Garden. They would just we'd drink like Lowenbrau and what's that? There were a lot of Hefeweizen. I drank so much of them back in the day, long before I knew anything much about beer. But I found that over time, I found like I sort of I don't know, maybe just because there were so many different styles. I poured that horrendously. So many different styles that I just really didn't drink them as much as I should. And I've been quite interested in trying proper official German Hefeweizens, just because I'm like, well, that is the real true version of the style that if you want to have the best version of it, that's what you'd be looking for. Are you a fan of the style typically?
It would actually probably be my island beer. It is one of my favorite styles.
Okay. That used to be one of our we used to have a lightning round on the pod, and that was one of the questions was what's your desert island beer? I like that you said that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you say that this is if someone is looking to sort of get into the style, this would be the quintessential version of it because it's such an authentic German version of the style?
Yeah, it is. You could say it's a good gateway beer.
Okay.
If you're going from macros over to craft beer.
Okay.
Because it's light, it's got some fruity notes to it. It's banana and clove are pretty subdued on that. It's super easy to drink.
Okay. That was always the thing. Back in the day, I didn't have a problem, but I think over time, one of my little not pushback, what's the word? Just things I didn't really enjoy much were too much banana and clove. So I'm happy to hear that you're saying it's a bit subdued or whatever. Just because that's I think that you either love it or you hate it. I think with that flavor note,
Yeah, this style and some of our, I would say, old school Buffalonians would be like, okay. Banana in beer? That's not right.
Cheers, legend. It smells great. See, I poured it properly this time. Nice head. Nice. See, this is what I'm talking about. The banana and the clove and all that stuff, and it's so chill. It's just this is the closest thing to a pastry ale with all that banana. Wow, that is so smooth. Wow, great malty sweetness. The banana there, but it's more like an undertone. It's clearly present, but it's not punching you in the tongue where that's all you're tasting. And then I think it's like when you combine, does this have the cloves and stuff in it, or it's just the banana from the yeast, like the esters or whatever?
It's the esters and phenols from the yeast, because
Mhm.
Reinheitsgebot, wouldn't be able to add banana or cloves to it. So we just manipulate the yeast
Mm.
for this. And because it's a Weiss beer, it's a wheat beer.
Mhm.
Any wheat beers I brew have to be a minimum of 50% wheat. So
Ooh.
I couldn't use wheat to add head retention to a lager. If it's a lager, it's all barley, lager yeast. Anything with wheat has to be minimum of 50% wheat and Weizen yeast.
No way. Interesting. I mean, I guess that makes sense, like the 50% wheat to make a wheat beer. What else? So it was kind of a silly question, I guess. And what else delivers a flavor? So the main flavor. So there's a 50% wheat, which delivers that kind of like that nice little haze, like the original hazy beer was a
Yes, yeah.
Hefeweizen. I always really enjoyed that back in the day, drinking them from that. But because there's nothing else, all the real other flavors are coming from that yeast, really. Like it's just an expressive yeast through that 50% wheat profile.
Yeah. The other malts that would be in there other than the yeast are similar malts that I had, like when we had the premium lager, Pilsner, dark Munich, and sour malts or acidulated malt. Okay. So for me to control my pH, the acidity level during the brewing process, I can't go and like what I would normally do, use some citric acid or lactic acid to control the pH. I have to do it with sour malts or acidulated malt. Gotcha. So it's approved, and that's one way we can control that. We've been given some variants for, so we can control it with that. And the Hefeweizen, there's ways you can use time, temperature, pressure to and the amount of yeast in the brewing process or in the fermenting process to get it to express. I can make it like a clove bomb if I wanted to. If you run the yeast really warm, it'll come out like bubble gum.
I hate that. That's what I hate. The bubble gum. Do you like that, or is that an off flavor?
You can get it a little bit more with like American style wheat beer.
Yeah.
But it would be considered a flaw with a Bavarian Hefeweizen.
Happy to hear, because that's the shit I can't get into. I don't know why. Dude, this is going to be the best Hefeweizen I've ever had, which completely makes sense. I fucking love this. I can't believe how much I'm loving this. Like, this was of all the styles that we have tonight, I was like, the Hefeweizen. I was looking forward to trying it to learn what a proper German one, but I didn't think I'd like it that much. This is fantastic. I'm in shock. Dude, you're killing it. I'm looking at Untapped here, and it said, once upon a time, Weiss beer could only be brewed by, and there's a Ducal, D-U-C-A-L, Ducal privilege. Hofbräuhaus enjoyed this exclusive right for nearly 200 years, thus holding a monopoly on Weiss beer in Bavaria. That's crazy. So that means for nearly 200 years, a duke, which probably ties into the government side of thing that you were talking about, is probably like, oi, you could be the only one to brew this beer. So you're the only one. So if you want a Weiss beer in Bavaria, Hofbräuhaus was the only brewery.
Yeah, it was
sick.
During that time, like I think there was some crop issues and they needed the wheat to make bread. So, hey, if you just use barley for beer, we can use wheat for making bread for a food source. But people started to miss the style, so German government or Bavarian government decided, well, we'll grant a clearance and we'll use some of the wheat. We'll allocate it for brewing Hefeweizen. And so they did it, and they ended up like, well, we're in charge of the government. We can make the rules. We can be the exclusive Hefeweizen producer for a while, for a good long time.
Right. Just because of the shortages, really. And it was just like an allocation.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. I love that. And this is probably maybe a question for all of the beers tonight. How close, and I know you can only know so much, it's a bit of a grand question, but how close are the beers we're drinking tonight to the beers from 200 years ago, or however old Hofbräu is?
I can say, like 200 years ago, people's tastes were a little bit different. The brewing processes, we saw the cereal grains, so barley and wheat weren't bred to be like super reliable. You would have some that are really like some farms that were really good, some that kind of produced some subpar. So there were some variances. So they tried some different brewing styles on there. So they might have been a little smokier for how they were kilning. The yeast wasn't as mature as it is now. So there might have been some little differences with it. It would be pretty close.
Okay.
But I know over time, pretty much all breweries kind of adjust a little bit for people's taste during that time. Or even the hops. The hops 200 years ago might not have had the same floral or spicy notes as it would now.
They just evolve and they change and they're being bred differently. And
yeah
that makes complete sense. Yeah, and obviously, tastes do change, so then they're going to adjust to people's palates back then and availability of different things, and maybe like the kilning or whatever it's called, equipment for roasting the malt and wheat and things like that. Yeah, okay. Dig it. This is sick. This is such like it's so beautifully balanced. It's so smooth. Like it just works so well. And is this one of the flagships?
Yes.
Yep. So the last one, which was the original, if you look at it there, but here, the premium lager, the Hefeweizen, and what was the other ones you said? Was the Dunkel, right?
The Dunkel, yes.
Dunkel, okay, which we're going to get to. They're the only three that are year-round.
Correct, yeah.
And then
those, all Hofbräuhauses will always have those styles on.
Gotcha. And the fun thing, which maybe that's sort of getting ahead of ourselves, but I always like when we go there to eat and drink whatever time of year it is, every month has a different specialty beer that obviously could last longer than that month. But like if you're there in January, but the next one doesn't come out until February, then you're not going to be able to get that beer until Feb, until you have to come again, which is pretty sick. So there's like at least 12 different specialty beers, all German styles. Are those the ones that you get to play with and kind of like come up with and manipulate the recipe that's outside of the typical flexibility?
With those the specialty beers, well, there are two that I have to import. It's just part of the deal of being a Hofbräuhaus franchise.
Okay.
One is the Maibach, which is our May release. The Maibach was a style created by Hofbräuhaus, so I know how to brew it here, but they want to carry that heritage and the past, and just we brewed this. You're going to get the same Maibach in the States as you're going to get in Bavaria. Same with the Oktoberfest beer. That one is brewed in Munich, and then we import it in and then tap it. I'll put on a companion one for October. Like we tap the Munich Oktoberfest beer in September, and then in October, I'll release my Fest beer, which is kind of the American Märzen style Oktoberfest.
Odaka.
I keep it same ABV, so same alcohol, same hops, like same hopping rates on there. So you really you can side by side really easy and see, this is a Munich style Oktoberfest. This is an American style Oktoberfest.
Gotcha. I think those, like, if I would almost across the board, that's probably my favorite beers, period. And the ones that you guys do are so good because you can get them out here, the Oktoberfest ones in bottles and stuff.
Yeah,
which is sick. So that's cool to know that there is a second one. So I guess at the Märzen, but so your little twist on what they're doing.
Yes.
Which are the ones? Yeah.
But yeah, as long as I can tie the specialty beers into a Bavarian style and keep it compliant with Reinheitsgebot, I have a pretty good amount of freedom with those.
That is so cool, man, that you're able to do that. Because I feel like if I could only drink one, like if I could drink that year round, like the fest beers, that would be I would go for that every single time. And I think when we came in, when we met, we came in December, and I think I got to have one of the fest beers, or some still left over. Thankfully, one of them, it must have been your one. Oh, hang on, wait.
Yeah, it would have been my fest beer.
Fest beer,
Yeah.
and it's a little darker. I'm looking at the picture now. It's a Merchant style fest beer that I have here, 6.3.
Yes.
Yeah, that was sick. And I'm thinking here, I've got in my little review there that said it was brewed for Prince Ludwig's wedding, like that 200 years ago.
Yeah. It's for the start of Oktoberfest. Started out as a wedding. I believe Princess Therese and I think it was Ludwig. I feel embarrassed for not remembering it right now.
That's okay.
But there was a wedding ceremony in Munich in the Wiesen, or the Meadow, and so they had invited like all the commoners to the wedding. They had a big old party, and they liked it so much that they kind of celebrated the anniversary. Let's have the party, and that just grew and grew and grew and turned into Oktoberfest.
Right, that's pretty sick. That actually is pretty cool. That the anniversary is one of the sickest, if not the sickest, beer festival in the on the planet. That's awesome. I love that you do that, man. It's so cool. I didn't realize that's what it was. Like, you get a little bit of context from like the menu and stuff, but just sort of, I knew when I'd walk past coming into the place where we park every time we've been there, we parked in the same spot. So I'm walking past the windows looking into the brewery. So I'm like, oh, there's tanks here. Like, they're making the beer. It's not like I would have assumed that everything would have just been shipped in, like kegs and bottles and stuff.
Yeah, there is Hofbräuhaus America, which is kind of our flagship, which is in Las Vegas. Oh. They import all their beer in.
That make it.
They don't have a brewery there. They're so busy that even if they had a facility, I believe, like twice the size of what I have here, they would still struggle to keep up. So They keep it very authentic. They bring all the kegs in over from Munich.
Interesting. I mean, does that make it like crazy expensive, or I guess they're probably doing volume, so it's fine.
Yeah, they can do it with volume.
Right.
Get better price.
Gotcha. Now that makes sense. Okay, so let's maybe get into the history, because then we can go through just, it doesn't have to be incredibly detailed, but the history of the brewery and everything, and then we can start talking about sort of the model for North America and beyond. And I think you and I spoke. You said there's like Hofbräuhaus and like maybe like in Asia, I think China or something like that, in different places throughout the world, which is, like you said, very a unique concept. There's not really any other breweries that are doing, like particularly like traditional German breweries that are doing anything similar, which is so cool. Like, I'm so grateful for it. Like, that when the first time we went would have been year before, so 2024, and it must have been Christmas, because they had that Christmas festival out the front, which is so sick. It's like, I've been to the ones in Berlin, and so it was really capturing that vibe. And then you had the full German band doing, because I don't know all the German like the cheers things that they do and stuff, and they got all these little songs and shit. Like, it's pretty sick. So the brewery itself, tell us whatever you can about sort of the history of what we're dealing with here.
Brewery that we have here, like, I started in 2019. We had some of the equipment. Our equipment manufacturer is actually out of Vienna, Austria.
Gotcha.
The equipment is specifically built for Bavarian style and lager beers. The way the equipment behaves, it's very traditional. It's modern with a lot of computerization with it, but it's still very hands-on analog. But that all comes from was Vienna, Austria. The rest of my equipment either came from Munich or Vienna also. Got all that shipped in 2019 into 2020. Slowly just built the place out. At that point, a big learning curve on how to get all this to integrate correctly. And then engineers came over from Vienna and helped to polish it up. Final testing, getting it fired up. And then COVID happened. and no traveling. I was a lot of like FaceTiming and WhatsApp to try to get the brewery up and running. So our formal commissioning was done on 2 laptops and like 3 phones between Munich, Vienna, and the one engineer was he lives in Russia. So
Jesus,
it was a lot of moving parts to try. It's move this, turn the laptop this way. So it was a very interesting way of commissioning the system by like what we're doing right now.
right?
Trying to control it and trying to monitor everything. So we're able to do that. I had some test batches to kind of get a feel for the equipment, but I had a lot of this. I just had to kind of keep learning and learning and learning as we would go on. Because even with Reinheitsgebot, you would normally, when you make a beer after it's done fermenting, you would filter it or transfer it to a bright beer tank where you can carbonate it and get it all ready. With Reinheitsgebot, I can't add carbon dioxide, so I can't force carbonate my beers. So I had to learn how to spund, which is natural carbonation on the beers. And with the filter system we have, being able to filter a carbonated beer without destroying the filter or destroying the beer. So it was a lot of trial and error, a lot of learning.
Yeah, I bet. Jeez. So then if we set a step back just a touch, and the Hofbräuhaus itself, beyond just the Buffalo location, are you able to speak to the general sort of history of the brewery, like the year or the century that it opened, and sort of like the how it all came to be? And
yeah, it should have been 1589 when Hofbräuhaus. Yeah, it's 1589 because Hofbräuhaus is basically like the royal court brewery, or like the court being like the castle, or the community, the royal community brewery on there. So it was started by that they were importing beer, and like, well, we import it. Why shouldn't we just start brewing it ourselves?
Where were they import from back in 1500s?
With barrel, like local communities,
other places in Germany.
Borders were all over the place back then. It was, I think it was even before like the Prussian Empire. So it was coming in and out all over the place.
Right. Okay. So
yeah, they built that.
They built it for the royalty at the time, built a brewery to make their own stuff instead of importing beer. They're like, hey, let's just make it for our people of Bavaria, probably.
Yeah, and it wasn't even open for common people. It was only for like royals.
So yeah, beer was a royal drink, huh?
It was. This beer was, and then they eventually opened it up for the community. So it was open up for everybody.
That could be the episode name, like the royal beverage. Okay, so they're making the beer for the royals. They eventually open it up, probably because it's popular. They, like, I guess as a business, are like, hey, we can make some money off it, essentially. Now, was that the government-owned portion, because it was started by the royals, which were essentially the government at the time? When I say essentially, meaning actually.
Yes.
And then that just never changed, and they just kept a hand in it. Maybe there was some private ownership later.
Yeah, I believe the private ownership would be relatively recent. Maybe can't say for certain. I don't want to say the wrong thing as far as the time frame. But the government's always been working with it. It's always been special. The 6 breweries were always special to Bavaria, so they always wanted to keep them close.
Okay. And it just chugged along, really. Like, there's probably maybe not a lot of notes or even sort of mention, just kept doing its thing, really cementing itself in the region as a purveyor of the purity law, which would actually make sense that it was in the 1500s. Is that really it? And then it was sort of, it just kept and I guess sort of the beer scene kind of grew around it, because it sounds like they obviously weren't the first, because then you got, the 1100 or 1000 whatever 1070, I think you said. How do you say it? I thought it was Weihenstephaner, but I guess it's not.
If you go like phonetic or you just read it, it's like Weihenstephaner. We just always called it Weihenstephaner. It's
Gotcha.
a little bit of a Bavarian dialect.
Gotcha.
Different parts of the United States have different dialects. Bavaria's got its own little dialect on there, and we always just called it Weihenstephaner.
Gotcha. Thank you for the check, because I haven't really even heard it pronounced before. Okay, I've just seen it. I'm like, okay, sick. So obviously there's a bunch of stuff. So as far as Hofbräuhaus, how at least in Bavaria, how like as far as earliness, were there others around? Like, you're saying the six that are the big six that were owned by the government or whatever. How early was were they Hofbräu like the first one, or were they like the third one or something? Like, was there any?
I don't think they were the first. And I think as the area was developing, they all kind of developed similar. They all kind of grew up together. Gotcha. I don't believe Hofbräuhaus was the first. And I know they weren't the last.
Gotcha. Okay. Was that, so between the 1500s and kind of like now, was, aside from the Prince Ludwig's wedding for Oktoberfest and everything, which is absolutely phenomenal, just so cool, was there anything else of note? Because I would like to ask some questions about that, if you know anything more about that, as far as like who was the first and which, as far as like who invented the Oktoberfest beers? Because if it was for the prince and the prince was the government that was owning Hofbräuhaus, did that mean the Hofbräuhaus started Oktoberfest?
I believe they were.
Sick.
The kind of official beer for Oktoberfest. And then as it grew, the other breweries, but it was always a specific style. You come to Oktoberfest, you're going to have a specific style. So the other breweries that were in compliance with that style would be invited in.
And to participate as well. Okay. We did an episode on my co-host, who I do all the American ones myself just to make it easier, but he's here in Ottawa. We did an episode a couple of years ago where we got every single fest beer we could from the LCBO here, and then just ran through them all, whether some were from Germany, some were local, etc. And it was I was like, I remember looking it up because I had to sort of learn about it. So that's why I don't remember who it said started, but I believe there was something along the lines of within the last 100 years, the style change. It could have even been the 1970s, where the style it used to be look more like the Märzen type of thing, like the darker, more copper amber. And then the normal Oktoberfest beer that you see now is a little, basically like a pale lager. Like, it almost looks the same as a lager that changed within the last 100 years. Am I remembering that accurately?
Yeah. The beers were darker, more Märzen style. Okay. And as people's taste changed, it went from a darker style to more like a pale Imperial Helles, or like a Doppel Helles, so like a stronger version, like from 5.1 alcohol to 6.3. But they kept the paler, very malty, bready, crackery forward on there. And I believe the alcohol has crept up over the years also. I think up to 6.3 on there.
So in my head, I have 5.7. I don't know why, if that's correct. Let's see. Got our good friend Oktoberfest 6.3. Shit, you're 100%. And then, so I guess your one might be different though. The one that's actually like that you do. Was your one? That's still 6.3?
6.3, yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. That's so sick. Was there anything else that happened of note that's worth bringing up as far as historically in Hofbräuhaus, in the last 500 years, I guess? Sort of, obviously, it's probably a bunch of things, but I mean, like, aside from this, like, steadily growing, and was there any sort of major milestones or important events?
There's some funny stories about another country was invading the Bavarian area, and instead of invading, Hofbräuhaus is like, we'll give you all these barrels of beer if you leave us alone. They're like, sweet, yeah, we'll do that. And I think there's something involving a fire, and like they put the fire out with beer, and so it was like everything was praised because of that. So there's little funny stories on there. It stayed during the bombing of World War II. The Marienplatz, like the area where Hofbräuhaus is at, got shelled pretty hard. And so Hofbräuhaus was closed for a couple of years so they could rebuild it. And then I think it was in the 50s, they were so busy that their sales outpaced production. So they actually took the brewery and relocated it to where it's at now, and just kept the original Hofbräuhaus as the beer garden, the beer hall, all of that for serving. But they brew it off-site from a different location now.
That's cool. So there's two main locations in Bavaria.
Yeah, there's a production facility, and then there's the original restaurant.
No shit, that's sick. That's cool, because I guess the production facility, does that have a can you visit it, or like probably for tours or something, as opposed to for like on-site consumption?
I know you can do tours. I've run into a number of people from Buffalo who have gone over there and toured the facility.
Sick.
Because I have some glassware in here. They bought me glassware. Like, you can't come over and see it, so we brought you glasses from there.
That's cute. I like that.
Yeah, it was cool.
That is pretty sick. Okay, so there's a couple places. Oh man, God. Yo, another bit of a silly, ignorant question. What cities are in Bavaria?
You have, obviously Munich. On the northern edge is Bamberg. That's close to Franconia. That's where you would get like the smoke beers.
Yeah, okay.
Schlenkerla.
Yeah.
A lot of the Rauch beers, that area, and also close to where Fireman, the maltster. Yeah, the maltsters are there. You go down towards Austria. That might be where Salzburg, where the Sound of Music.
Yes.
The family from Sound of Music is right there on the border between Austria and Bavaria. Right. So it's down there. Past that, I'm kind of embarrassed. Like, Munich's all I ever focus on.
Well, I guess that's really that matters. So Germany's largest state by area, located in the southeast with Munich as its capital. It features the Bavarian Alps, the Danube River, and castles and shit. Cities and regions. Oh, Munich, Nuremberg, Augsburg, Augsburg, and Würzburg. I've never even heard of them last two. Nuremberg, I know because of some World War shit.
Yeah. That one I know of.
There you go. We know that. It's home to companies like BMW, Siemens, and Audi. And beyond Munich, popular attractions include the Romantic Road with medieval towns. I'm not going to say that word. Some castle and the Bavarian forests.
Oh, Neuschwanstein.
Thank you. You're killing it, Scotty. You are you German?
My family is German. Yeah.
Okay, so was mine. There was some like German ancestor like 200 years ago that came to Australia. I wish I tapped in with it. I wish we knew. That'd be sick. You gotta say the words properly. I can't say the words.
Part of my job is learning a lot of obscure German on there.
Dude, it's sick because I never really thought about like how to say a lot of these words. I would just pronounce them like the English way. So it's I appreciate your German lessons tonight. Thank you, my man.
Yeah, I am not 100% accurate on some of these. I do my best on some.
Well, people can correct us in the comments if they are, but I feel like you're definitely better than I am, so I appreciate you. Which one next, my man? I guess the Dunkel.
Yeah, we can do the Dunkel.
Well, Dunkel or Schwartz, I guess, would probably be the best, whichever you feel. You tell me. I'm in the mood for
the Dunkel, so we can just knock out all the core beers.
Yes. Oh, that's a good idea. Back to back to back. I love these crowler holders. They're so cool. Dunkel. Beautiful. Now, come on. I don't know why. Am I being like crowlers are really well sealed? I could just like rip this thing. Like it's really not that much of a big deal, right?
Yeah, if it's sealed correctly and it's adjusted, you are totally fine.
Golden. Okay.
Yeah.
So another one of these beauties. These are so sick. So cool. Bit of a Dunkel right there. Look at that, mate. Hell yeah. 5.5. Tell us about this one. So like a Dunkel is just always, I love dark lager. Darker lagers are just the best. So a Dunkel, is it fair? I don't know why this just occurred to me now. Is it fair to say a Dunkel is like a Polotamavi, like Czech amber, but for German? Or is that unfair? Or because that's more like a Vienna?
They would be, you could say, cousins. A lot of these styles kind of grew up and evolved. Because this was the first beer Hofbräuhaus produced, was a Dunkel beer. Pretty much back in the day, most of the beers were dark, just due to the malting process, how they brewed it. They were all dark. So this was the first.
That was the first. Okay. And on, like, technically speaking, what is a Dunkel?
It is a dark, medium body lager, so it's got some body to it.
Okay.
Hop presence a little less, just enough to balance out the sweetness. But there's very slight chocolate, some caramel notes on there.
Okay.
Still, it drinks a lot lighter than it looks.
Big time. And I think that's like, I would say that would be a Dunkel. Have I had it? Dunkel/Dunkel Gold would be the one at 5.5. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
When did I have it? 2024. Oh, when I came. Hell yeah. Well, I need to sip this. It smells amazing. Cheers, legend.
Cheers.
Fuck, I love it. Caramel, toffee, a little bit of grassy bitterness. It's like chewy, beautiful, grainy malt. What I've loved of all of these, the three flagships as well, there's just this beautiful malty sweetness that's like so like what's the word? I was gonna say refreshing. It's not refreshing. It's so like it scratches an itch. That's what I want to taste in this without being over the top. It's not like, there's like a perfect sweetness for Crispies that I just think and this is exactly manifested in these beers. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, got a little bit of like probably hop spice. Do you know the hops in this one, or the malt sort of? I say, do you know? Of course you know, but who else is
the hops at very small hop additions on there, even though it's kind of a bigger beer. Magnum. The core beers I like to use Magnum for bittering. I know how it works. I know how it behaves. And then this one would have Pearl. The Pearl's a little bit more spicier than the Select I would use. So it can cut through like the dark malt characters on there. Malts that I would use, Pilsner malt as a base, a lot of dark Munich, some Cara Munichs, some Carafas on there, just to give the color, the body, the texture to it. Gives it the roastiness without it being almost like a porter or stout. It doesn't have that acreage, sharp notes on the back end.
Well explained. Exactly right. It's roasty. It's exactly what it is, but like 5.5, so it's not too intense and it's not over the top. And it's, as you said, I think it's like fair to say for almost all, whether it's from amber through to dark lagers, like they look scary to maybe the person who isn't super familiar, but they really don't. They're not what they think they are. So you go and have a Guinness, you're like, oh, that's all it is. Like, and it's just not as scary as you think it is, as a lot of people might think. So this is like such a great style. Like, it's like the perfect. I like that you were saying the cousin. So what would you say, like a Vienna lager? Inherently, I know the name, but is it a German style, even though it's called Vienna?
That's an excellent question. I think it was more Austrian on there. Just because it carried the name, just like a Pilsner came from Pilsen, Czech.
Yeah.
So once they developed the paler malts and being able to have a paler lager, and it was popular. And then somebody else is like, well, I want to make it too.
Right.
And then that's why you have like a Czech Pils versus a Bavarian Pils. It's less spicier. It's a little bit more malt forward on the Pilsner to have it on the Pilsner.
Understood. Great comparison. I just Googled while you were talking. So Vienna Lager originated in 1841 in Vienna, Austria, which makes sense. I thought it was a little almost too obvious. That was the only reason I asked a pretty dumb question. But so it sounds like there's the Vienna Lager, which I've had. There's a brewery here called True History who are phenomenal. I was there last night, and they did this two different ones. They did an original Vienna and then the modern version. And the modern version looks more like this. The original is almost pale, like any sort of other blonde lager. So they sort of changed, which is actually the opposite of what we were talking about, where a lot of the German beers were sort of more on the darker side and they kind of lightened up over time. So it's like Vienna Lager is the Austrian version. This is the German version, but this would have been before the Austrian. If it was 1841, a Dunkel. I don't know if you know off the top of your head. I mean, look, I'm trusting Google here, so who knows what the fuck this is telling me. I don't even know if it's really true, but no, saying it's regulated by 1516 purity law, but it's not saying when it just said it originated in Bavaria as the region's dominant beer style, tracing back to the 16th century. So this was well before a Vienna Lager.
Yeah, it just the processes, no matter like I can do this 100 different ways. The beer is still going to come out a little bit darker, a little bit smokier. Oh my gosh. Before like a lot of the refinements, being able to, there was direct kilning, which is basically direct firing the malt to roast it. And then they came up with indirect. So indirect heat. So it made it a lot smoother. Then you could have a lot paler of a beer without it being like way too chewy.
Gotcha. Like chewy. I love that word for lagers and stuff. But okay, that makes complete sense. This is so good, man. I just really love these, like the darker lagers. I just love them so much. They're so perfect. Like that sweetness, that caramel, that toffee is just so like, I love it. So this is the third of the three flagships. It's going to be year round. So anytime you go into a Hofbräuhaus in Buffalo, you're going to be able to grab this beer. No problem.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And this one, because we do a lot of Bavarian fare here, like 95% of what comes out of the kitchen's Bavarian.
Yes.
A lot of pork, a lot of meat on there. The Dunkel works really, really well with that one. You can pair this beer with pretty much anything on our menu.
Maybe we should touch on that there. So the idea is that the Hofbräuhauses around the world are essentially franchises from private ownership. And you were telling me this when I came by last week, that the kitchen is a separate entity to the brewery side. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're all in the same building. We're all working together on here. Our front of house, so the giant beer hall, the beer garden, all that. See a lot of people here.
Yeah.
And the kitchen work a little bit different than what we do, what I do back here. I work primarily tied in with Munich to handle the beer side. The rest of the restaurant deals with restaurant stuff.
Gotcha.
On there, and that works through Hofbräuhaus America.
Gotcha. And that's the local folks a little bit more.
Yeah, that's the States.
But to their credit, the one thing that I thought, so once again, the first time I came looks like December 2024, and then I came December 2025, and that's when we met. And the first time I remember the waitress was like, the pretzel, because obviously you're going to a German place, you're gonna see the pretzel on the menu, you're almost crazy if you don't get it. And she was like, oh, it's imported from Germany. Like, sick. So that is like such a cool touch that it's like actually brought in. That's so cool.
What we can bring over from Germany and Bavaria, we'll bring over. But we've also partnered, like, this is Buffalo. Buffalonians love to eat, and a lot of the food around here is pretty heavy food.
Yeah, that's true.
Local meat processing. We work with local vendors to help prepare a lot of our sausages, a lot of our meats that come in. We try to source those local, just keeping it close, keeping it good, keeping it fresh. Some of the stuff we'll import just because the terroir of growing different vegetables over here is going to come out different than Bavaria. So we'll bring it in from Bavaria just to keep the authenticity really, really strong with it.
That's so cool that you mentioned that, because I think that the sort of local aspect of craft beer is also really important. So you're actually balancing between the two, where it's like when I first went, my assumption was everything was brought over from Germany, or at the very least, actually no, that's a silly thing to say because I knew you had the brewery there, so, or at least was sort of like it would send you all the stuff. I guess if before talking to you, my assumption would have been the beers themselves, they would have been like, here's all the stuff and here's how you do it. It's almost like a plug and play type of set, but it sounds like it's a little bit different to that. You do have a bit of flexibility and you can't adjust the water. And then the food is a bit of both. And the food is like, it's so cool. Every time we've come, we had different like sausages and like different types of sausages and mashed potatoes and just these really sort of hearty. We've always come in cold times, which I have to change this year. But like it's so nice to have all of those foods with all of these beers. It just works so well. There's so many different. The menu's massive, eh? Like there's like salmon and different steaks and all those like spatzels and help me out here. Just like really like authentic. It felt like to me like really sort of authentic, like German foods that just go perfectly with this style of beer.
Yeah, it's a lot of the monthly when I come out with a new beer, I present the staff with a full explanation on the beers and like what it pairs well with. So I give pairings like right off the bat. If somebody is ordering something, one of our servers can be like, "Oh, you're having the pork shank or the pork knuckle? Have a Dunkel. It's going to be really good with it." So just being able to mate up our beers with the different foods. I mean, you get a pretzel, you can have anything with a pretzel. It's some of the beers pair really, really well with some of our dishes, and some of our dishes are prepared with our beer.
I did see that. Yeah, like different sauces and gravies.
Yeah,
and
a lot of sauces, reductions, marinades. They use a lot of the beers from back here.
That's so cool. I love that, man. It was just like, I really wanted to sort of just really hop on the fact that the food experience is cool. And like you sort of touched on the massive beer hall. It is huge. It's so big and it's so authentic with the massive shareable. It's very funny, to be honest, because most of the time we aren't there at like 10 p.m. on a Friday. We usually come during the day. We'll go to the PO box and we'll pick up some stuff and we'll just kind of cruise around. We'll go to a brewery in the afternoon. And it's funny because I'm saying it's funny because the tables are what, like 10, 12 feet long?
Yeah. You can sit 10 people at our tables.
Okay, easily. The bench seats, you gotta like pick them up and like, okay, and move them aside until I get it. I love it. It's so like, they're like heavy. It's like real wood. It's like real like stuff to like move them aside to then like, fortunately for us, we've been there when no one, and I'm saying that because no one else is there. I'd feel like I don't like if I'm going to move it, I'm putting the seat on like an angle so I can get in. Like if you got to pick the seat up, if there was 6 other people on there, I guess they'd probably have it pushed out anyway. But yeah, it's just like a fun experience because everything is by the time you walk up there, and I once again been there in December every time except for last Friday, but the Christmas market's there and you walk in there and it's this big, warm, beautiful, welcoming place. The first time we went, we happened to time it with a German band that was playing. They're all wearing all the gear and doing all the songs, and it was super fun. We were sitting right at the front too. So it was super cool. And just everything about it was just like really, it's an experience. And if people are going to go out and these days in this economy, as we always say, you want an experience. You want to go to a brewery and feel like you're getting something that you can't if you just have cans or bottles at home. And I feel like Hofbräuhaus is exactly that. Like it was the food is stuff that you typically wouldn't cook because it's German style stuff unless you're maybe very historically German family. Like the food is so unique and it goes so well with the beer that is this historically accurate, recipe that like as you said, may have tweaked over the years, but hasn't changed incredibly. This isn't too dissimilar to the beer that were drinking at Prince Ludwig's wedding 200 years ago. Your fest beer, for example. Like, dude, that's so sick. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm going out, that's what I want. And I really resonate with that. That's why I was so excited when Jason offered us to come and meet you and see the space. I was just like, this is so cool to me because it's just different to every other experience that we would have visiting a brewery. Love it so much. Like, yeah, it's just so sick. And it's so big. Like, does that place get packed? Like, the whole place? Like, if I imagine during Oktoberfest it's rammed, but like, on a typical weekend, I imagine it's pretty, because there's an upstairs part too, like above the bar.
Yeah, the mezzanine, so the second floor above the bar, and then we have a separate King Ludwig room, which is about the same size as a mezzanine. We will get it packed out, and it's a lot of people in here.
Hundreds and hundreds of people. Do you know how many seats there are?
We can seat close to 1,000.
That would have been my guess if I had to. I'm terrible at guessing numbers, but it's like based on how many tables and how deep, even the main part near the stage, it goes all the way back, the same depth as like the bar, and then there's the upstairs. Yeah, like it's huge. Yeah,
including the beer garden. I mean, when you've been here, we've had the Chris Kindle marked, so the Christmas market. So the huts are all set up outside.
Sick.
They'll get tore down and all the seating when the weather's nice.
So that whole area is all seating.
Yeah, it'll all be seating outside.
Oh, I'm gonna come.
So we'll have that out there also.
I'm gonna come by in the summer finally and check it out. Like, I don't know what my problem was, but that's so sick. That'd be another, like, if I'm judging based on what I've seen, it's got to be hundreds, 200, 300, 400 people out there.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of people. The weather's nice. I'll roll up my garage door.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
people can see directly
down by the fermenters. Yeah, you can see in. There's a lot of times we're brewing in here, so you can see and smell and hear it. Dude, everything going on.
What a vibe. It's so cool. Are all of the other ones around, maybe you don't know, but like, that is just so, I love everything about all of that, everything we just described. Are all of them like that around the world, all the other Hofbräuhauses that you've heard about or seen?
Each one's in the States. You have Las Vegas. They built the place out basically to mimic Munich. So their facility looks just like the Hofbräuhaus in Munich.
I need to see that.
We took over this old building. You walk through it. Really old building here. So we converted it over to be a Hofbräuhaus. So ours is unique. The only one in the States where the brewery, the brew house, is not behind the bar. Cleveland, Columbus, Pittsburgh, and Newport or Cincinnati, the brew house is out in the beer hall. This building's so big, there's no way I would be able to actually brew out there and pipe it all back here. So we got our own separate kind of wing in the building. Some of the other Hofbräuhauses have brand new buildings. Some of them have taken old buildings and retrofitted them. The one in Cleveland is in kind of the Playhouse district with all the theaters where they do a lot of shows, a lot of musicals, kind of that kind of vibe. So they actually built their place on the front of an old playhouse. So you go in and it looks pretty modern from the front, but then you walk through the back and there's like 0.5 meter thick brick walls and little rooms and little corridors. And it's that one's super cool.
I'm going to go to Cleveland for my birthday.
Yeah, Cleveland's cool.
So I'll go there for sure. Dude, I didn't realize that's where it was. That's so sick. That sounds super fun. I've Googled both Las Vegas and Munich. And I see exactly what you're saying. The Las Vegas one is mimicking the Munich one with this beautiful, massive white building, like real German style, like old white building. And they got these cool, like, it's almost looks like a church with like these like pylons with this like painted, like vaulted ceilings. They're just stunning.
Yeah, it looks like an old cathedral.
Yes,
the way it's built, the way it's laid out, it's gorgeous,
dude. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the Cleveland one doesn't look like that necessarily, but it's its own thing altogether, just like the Buffalo. Yes. Oh, okay. It looks more like a German style with the sort of the dark wood with the white.
Yeah.
Excuse me, around
Yes.
it. Okay. I'm 100% going to go to this. Oh, that's so sick. Man, you guys got some cool stuff going on with this. I love it. See, that's even cool. So how many locations in the States? So that's like 5, 6?
It's going to be 6 right now,
And it's all Northeast.
other than Las Vegas.
Other than Vegas, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Other than Vegas, yeah.
What, Newport? Which Newport? I know there's a few.
It's Newport, Kentucky. It's right on the other side of the river from Cincinnati.
From Cincinnati. Yeah, because I know it's Covington there. We're in Cincinnati a couple times recently. Okay, Cincinnati's sick.
Yeah, so there's 3 in Ohio, Cleveland, Columbus, and technically Cincinnati, but Newport. Then there's Pittsburgh, and then there's us here up in Buffalo. So yeah, it's East Coast, Northeast for most of us.
Any reason? No,
I
happen to be where
a higher population of Germans settled. Cincinnati is huge for a German population. Buffalo was big. Pittsburgh was pretty big. So it kind of build it around where, yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. Sorry, I did cut you off. You were saying the...
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, it's because we're all in the U.S. and like the basically the Northeast. Once a year, we all get together and have like a Braumeister's conference. So we bring all of our beers. We have some meetings, but then we'll just side by side all of our beers and kind of help and tweak and talk about them and hang out because we only get to see each other like once a year because there's only like 5 of us in the States. So try to pick each other's brains sometimes.
That's going to be fun.
It is. It's very humbling.
Yeah. Because did some of the other guys like just kill it? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Some of the other guys have been doing this 20, 30 years.
Oh, shit. So, this has been around for a while, eh?
Yeah. They know it. The Newport, Cincinnati one is the oldest. I think they're 20 years old now.
Okay.
Cleveland's 10. I think Pittsburgh's around 10. We're coming up on 5. So we're the young one here.
Okay. That's fascinating. So I just Googled the actual other locations. So yeah, all of those ones you mentioned are the American ones. And then there's Munich, obviously, Dresden, Germany, Vienna in Austria, and Jianjin in China.
Yeah, the Chinese, that's another production facility one over there. The one in Jianjin.
Yo, you mentioned that to me because that's, if you're in Australia and you're drinking Hofbräu, it's coming from the Chinese brewery. They're like feeding a different part of the world just to keep it as fresh as possible.
Yes. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Man, what an operation. So really the expansion is primarily in the US as far as the anything outside of the norm, really.
Yeah. Americans love to drink beer.
Do they ever? And I guess it's like there's like it serves like a cool part of the market, I guess. Like it's bringing that authentic, because I feel like there's like I don't know if you felt this as a brewer, being that you were you only been there for coming up on 7 years, so it's not like you've only been with Hofbräu for like these other folks like 20-30 years, so you've seen a lot, the changes throughout the brewing industry. I felt, even though getting like seriously into beer in 2011, that there was like a what I would maybe argue like a crispy renaissance, kind of like is almost like after the haze stuff, went crazy 2016, 17, 18, etc. And it was just everywhere. I remember just all of a sudden I felt like, this is my sort of theory based on talking to people and stuff, that like brewers almost forced lagers on people in the sense of they want to drink lagers after work. So if they work in a haze brewery, like something like Other Half, who was super popping at those years, whenever they put out a Crispies, because that's what the brewer wanted to do, and the brewers typically did a really great job, and they do like this 3-step slow pour, or probably before Lucas kind of got extra popular with the Czech styles and stuff. And I kind of just felt like I started seeing slow pour, and I remember trying one at what's that beer bar in Brooklyn? It starts with T. Fuck, I'm having a blank. There was a sick beer bar, and I had like a Suarez family 3-step slope. I was like, it just blew my mind, and it changed my whole perspective on lagers, because I kind of always thought they were a little bit boring. I drank them all the time, but it wasn't a passion, I guess. I was always more interested in other things. And then I felt like after that, there were a lot of breweries that were opening up that were really specializing in that. And it's almost like breweries like Hofbräu, that in the beginning of my journey, I would have been drinking a lot of different European lagers and stuff, and I didn't appreciate them. I thought they were. It came up in my Facebook memories today. I gave a horrible review to Pilsner Urquell, like it absolute beta palate noob. I was like, oh, if this is what Pilsner is supposed to be, I'd rather the copies or something. I said something ridiculous like that, like embarrassingly terrible. But I didn't appreciate it because I felt like that was a lot of the stuff. And then kind of what you said, in North America, we get all the stuff that's been on a boat for a month or two. So they're not fresh as they would be there. They're not this bright, beautiful version of themselves, which is what we're drinking right now because you're making them fresh. So there's something to be said about that. And I feel like there's been like a renaissance after the fact of in the last 5 to 7 years of lagers in general, where a lot of breweries have at least got one Luca tap going on, and they take their lagers much more seriously than they used to, as opposed to, yeah, we just do a blonde ale for the coolest light drinkers. Everything else is all like haze and like. And then now something like Hofbräuhaus is so valued because I'm like, people have gone through like the color wheel of beers and gone through Belgians, and they got obsessed with all the trendy stuff, and then they come back to lagers. And then even someone like myself, I'm like, this is extraordinarily attractive to me. I want to drink this a lot. And if I can go to a place that is authentic and been around for hundreds of years, like 500 years, it's crazy. Like, that's sick. Have you any thoughts or any sort of like anecdotes or anything around that? Have you seen sort of like a popularity change as a brewer in the industry in the US? Like, have you seen any sort of like change beyond maybe even what you've sort of seen at Hofbräu? Because that might be like a bit of a microcosm of like everyone's already into it there, but like from the brewing or just craft beer scene as in general.
I would say, yeah, you see like a pendulum swinging. You had your macro adjunct lagers, then it swung to IPAs, hazy IPAs, then like pastry stouts. And it's like, well, sometimes I just want a beer to taste like a beer. So you can have a little bit of everything, but it swings back over something you learn over time. Like, I was very similar with you. I grew up in Pennsylvania, so I was a Yingling drinker. Huge Pennsylvania beer. It was Yingling, which was an adjunct lager. Yeah, the old school lager on there. And I just had it because it was there. And moving to Florida, living in Tampa, the beer scene was huge, vibrant. It was bright, like just like the Pacific Northwest. It was a couple years ahead of everybody else. So we had sours. No, we had Florida Vices. So instead of like Berliner Weiss, we had Florida Weiss. So we had all these styles, and starting to brew like hazy IPAs down there before I would come up, and nobody had ever really heard of those. Then coming up to Buffalo and the brew at 12 Gates, it was a lot of West Coast style IPAs.
Okay.
So the West Coast approach. So brewing a lot of those. But sometimes you just want a nice, clean, normal beer. So you see it ebb and flow. And with after bringing up COVID again, unfortunately, after COVID or during COVID, breweries weren't selling a lot of beer. So a good traditional lager takes a few weeks. Mine are typically a minimum of 6 weeks in the fermenter, 3 weeks fermenting, 3 weeks lagering, cellaring on there. Where before I needed to I would brew. I need to get this beer out in 2 weeks because I need to brew more. Having the extra time, you could brew those lagers, let them sit in the fermenters, let them mature. And so coming out of COVID, there was all the other beers, but you started to see more lagers coming out just because we had the time. and we had the capacity and the ability to just let beers really mature really nice in there. So like around here in Buffalo, pretty much all the breweries do a really decent lager right now. They ended up with the ability to have the tanks, to have the capacity to just brew a nice, slow, authentic beer, let it do its thing. You're not trying to rush it. You're letting the beer dictate when it wants to be ready. But we still have the breweries around here that put out some really cool wild stuff. But we're seeing some more traditional styles. It even almost extinct styles start to pop up every once in a while, having some really old school beers that nobody else is doing it. Let me give it a shot.
What kind of stuff?
Well, in Buffalo, we're close to like an hour from Rochester. Rochester, Genesee Brewing is like the king of cream ales.
Yeah.
So that would be like everybody knows cream ales around here, and everybody knows Jenny. But some of the old, even when I was at 12 Gates, I spent a lot of time researching old like brewmaster logs for old styles, and I would make a Kentucky Common, which is like a Dunkel version of a cream ale, and just trying to resurrect like an 80-year-old recipe and tweak it to the times, and then throwing it out there and seeing if people liked it. But just kind of going through our old like beer encyclopedias, finding something. Hey, nobody's brewed these in a while around here. Let me research it and try to fire it up.
That's fun. That's kind of the vibe I get around that. It feels very, when I say around there, I mean Western New York. It feels very experimental. Definitely all my mates in Rochester, I don't really know many people in Buffalo, but I know a bunch of dudes in Rochester, and they are obsessed with Genesee. Like they're in a way that I've never seen people be attracted to. I know it was like a bought out, so I don't want to say macro in the sense of like it was originally like a bought out brewery. Like nobody gives a fuck. They're just like, that's my shit. Like every brewer I know out there, like anyone into beer, they just absolutely love Genesee. I think it's a fascinating like cultural thing that's happening out there. And even when I went to Mortalis, my friend's the head brewer there, and even in their fridge at the back of the brewery, it's just Jenny Light. Like it's just, they're just so crushing it, like proudly though. Like people might like, like be a little, I think it's interesting that that's what it is. But all that to say, like, I feel like the Western New York scene is just out of control in the best possible way. It's beautiful, man. Like it seems to be so much happening that like there's expansions there, people opening multiple like secondary, third spaces out there. And like, lots of like new styles and stuff. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of people loving the Crispies as well out there and doing it properly. You're right. Like with the horizontal lagering tanks, a lot of them have those type of things. It's an exciting place right now, and I'm seeing a lot of them as well. They're bringing in the Canadian stuff, so I feel like there's a lot of like cross pollination with the border. Like a lot of us are coming over to get it, but then they're bringing over the best stuff from our side of the border for the consumers down there, because the consumers, which I think is part of what I'm saying here, are very they know their shit. The Western New York craft beer folks, they know what's up. It's I think it's great. I don't know. I guess you feel it like you've been out there for 10 years. So,
Yeah, everybody around here really wants to work together to raise each other up. Like we all want to be a really good destination.
Yeah.
Like a really cool beer town.
Sick, man. I love it. It makes me so happy. I'm really trying to focus more on the pod and that's why I really appreciate your time, because I want to really showcase not only like Hofbräu is obviously absolutely exceptional, but also the Buffalo side and like what's happening there that you specifically are making happen out there. I just think it's like it's such an impressive and arguably currently underrated. Like if you're out here and like if you're in our little space from Ontario, Western New York, maybe up to sort of Montreal a little bit, they know what's up as well, and maybe somewhere around New England are relatively familiar. But I think overall, like I don't know if people understand how dope it is in Western New York right now. Like it's always kind of been like the cold, maybe more forgotten part of the state. and it's absolutely beautiful. Finger Lakes, insane.
Oh,
Can't believe
gorgeous over there.
the wineries are incredible. I couldn't believe how good it was. We went a couple years ago for 4th of July. Incredible. Wine, I expected, I was like, it's not going to be anywhere near like Niagara or anything. Fire. Beer, fire. The food,
Great.
Incredible. The views, insane. Like it's just the whole thing. Yeah, I'm just enamored with everything that's happening out there. I love it, dude. You want to?
Yep. Do you mind if we take a bathroom break?
I've been thinking that for a bit. I was about
Okay.
to say. We're going through 3 crowlers, so yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll be right back, guys.
All right.
And we are back, Uncle Scott. We were just yapping about Western New York and how dope it is. I guess it's probably time for that next one, eh?
Yeah, and we'll probably, because we've been going lighter to darker, we'll do the Schwarzbier. We'll save the Doppelbock for last.
I was going to say that would probably be pretty overpowered.
Yeah.
I love Schwarzbiers. Now, this was one of the seasonals.
Yeah, it was my January seasonal. It's also been one of the beers, no matter how many times I brewed it, I always ran into problems.
Oh,
okay. Always something. So
what's the deal with the old Schwartzy here? It's just giving you like malt problems? What?
It was always something. Whether it was equipment problems, it was always plagued by something.
Is it only done in January every year?
Yeah, I would typically. I have changed it out, and I've done a Dunkel Weizen in the past. So like a Hefeweizen Dunkel, the dark Hefeweizen. But the Schwarzbier, like I know how to brew a Dunkel Weizen. The Schwarzbier I wanted to finally get figured out. So I kind of this year went back to the drawing board, wrote a brand new recipe, brand new style of how we were going to brew it and ferment it. And like we were stoked about this one because it came out exactly like we wanted it to. Finally, after years.
That's amazing. Now, is this your recipe or is this based on what's going on with like Hofbräu there?
No, this one I in the past I would use their recipe as kind of a backbone.
Okay.
Use that as a model and kind of work off of it a little bit. But for this year, I just kind of wiped it and wrote it the way I wanted to. Okay. And if you're watching, no offense. Like I had to figure this one out on my own.
And what was the thinking behind that? Was it just like that you just wanted it that way?
Yeah, with a Schwarzbier, to get it to not be almost like a porter or stout, having that heavy roasted, almost like acreage sharp notes, keeping it soft, keeping it light, keeping it dark. Being able to do that, I kind of took a different approach to it.
Okay. Now, is this a separate thing? Because on the crowler here, is it 5.7 or 5.1 here?
5.1.
5.1. So go on.
Yeah, for the Bavarian style beers, most of the like normal everyday drinkers are between 5.1 and 5.5%. Then I'll have the specialty ones that are higher ABV on there.
Okay.
But for these, I try to keep around between 5 and 5.5.
Gotcha. Okay. So is there the one that's on Untapped, I guess, would be the main Hofbräu one, but then your version is just tweaked a version of that.
It used to be, yeah, it very tweaks at this point.
Very tweaked. Okay, so it's 5.1. This one on the thing is 5.5.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I run mine a little bit lighter. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. What would be? Yeah, talk to me about the differences between these, man. Between say like the Hofbräu version and like what you tweaked, or yeah, your version and their version.
It's the base is still the same. I changed the hops up a little bit just so it didn't really enhance the roastiness. Just tried to keep it a little bit more subtle. With the dark malts, the dark roasted malts, You can get it, especially with Vireman, husked or dehusked.
Okay.
So they remove the shell off the kernel on there. If the shell is on there, because it's woody, it's kind of cellulose, and you roast it, it can give some, like the tannins come through, some sharp acrid notes, or if like a good British porter, you got that sharpness to it. Having it dehusked kind of removes the cellulose, removes those tannins, and it allows it to be a lot softer. So this go around, I did a lot of dehusked malts, roasted malts, and it just really made it a lot softer.
It is very soft. It's got that really nice roasty, chocolatey nose, which is like beautiful, and that carries through into the body. It's almost kind of like what you were saying earlier about like if people see the like the Dunkel or something, and they might be like, oh, it's a little dark. I'm like, this is arguably. What's the Dunkel? What was the ABV on that? It was a little lighter, right?
5.5.
5.5. This
Yeah,
is
the Dunkel runs at 5.5. This one runs a little lighter.
So it's even more crushable, arguably, and so approachable and so soft. Like black lagers, I think get like a real bad rep with the general drinking public. I think they're going to be like, I don't know about yourself, man, but like one of my favorite. Between this and like Tamave, like I could drink these all the time. I think they're just exceptional. I love them.
If they're done well, they are fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, like deep, it's roasty chocolate, a little bit of caramel type of vibes in there, similar-ish to the Dunkel there, but arguably more drinkable. I feel like it's less not intense, because none of these beers are intense. It's not a great word, but it's so approachable. It's so deeply approachable that it's like offensive if people are trying to like, oh, it's so dark beer. I don't do that. Like, dude, this is, like you said earlier, you were really trying to differentiate this from a porter or a stout or one of the other lighter styles, and I think you've done an exceptional job, man. This is fantastic. Is there anything else I need to know about? What else is going on with this beer? What other like hops or other processes or anything that you used?
It's I've tried in the past, like if you try to brew like a dark lager, but you don't want those sharp dark notes on there, you can take some of your dark specialty malts, and then after you go through the whole mash process, you start to lauter it, which is to not compress it, but let it settle and recirculate. So you're not pulling chaff, you're not pulling particulates through, you're just pulling clean. At that point, it's called clean wort over pre-boiled. Basically, it's a very sticky sugar water of adding all those dark malts right at the last minute. So you get the color, you get some of the flavor, but you don't get the deep, harsh notes from it. I tried that in the past, and it still ended up kind of the same result. So like coming at it from a different angle was really able to work it from the back end. I know what I wanted the final product to be, and just worked it back to really finesse it how we wanted it on there.
I like that a lot, man. The more I'm drinking this, the more I'm just like, this is exceptional. This is so good. Like, it's just got like everything that you sort of want in that style, and in the way that you're describing it. Like, even there's like a little pinch of like kind of like cold brew coffee or something in it. Was that intentional, or am I determining that right?
I totally get what you're saying with that, because it finishes. I wanted to finish very clean, so it wasn't just hanging on your palate. Wanted to have the drinkability, so get it to finish clean. There's a little bit of residue on there. It's not sugary sweet, but yeah, it would be kind of a cold pressed coffee.
Yep.
Without having all those coffee oils, just a nice residual flavor on there.
Exactly what it is. And it's so like, and this is the thing that sort of was saying about like people saying maybe black lagers are intense. It just like, as you just described now, it kind of like disappears off the palate, and it leaves, and it's dry. It's really bone dry. And it makes you want that next sip. And I feel like this would be a phenomenal pairing. You were talking about the Dunkel being a pairing with like the pork, and I feel like this would arguably be in the same category. It would go with. I couldn't even really think of anything this wouldn't go with.
Probably other than our citrus salad. That half of Weizen works with that one.
Citrus
other than that, yeah.
Well, absolutely fair enough.
Fair enough.
I was thinking of all the sausage and potato dishes and stuff like that.
Yeah, it works.
But
great.
yes, yeah, great point. I just feel like it's such an approachable beer. And like, do you have like a speaking of like these darker beers that have maybe a bit of a, how would I say it? Like, do you find that there's a certain consumer that really likes these, or are you able to, and I know once again you're not serving tables and stuff, but maybe you've been around and seen what's up, like, are you able to sort of like suggest this, or the Dunkel, say, to people to be like, hey, like, you're having the bratwurst or the curry sausage, which is another favorite that I really like, things like that, like, or even the salmon. I know you got a salmon and potato and stuff, like, so a lot of that beautiful, like, nice garlicky German mashed potato. Like, are you able to convince people to take something like this? Because I feel like this is just so soft and perfect to complement it.
This one's a tough one because
yeah, that's why
it's a Schwarzbier. It's a black beer. It actually, I'm not a fan of salmon.
Really
just not a fan of salmon. I
can
eat it like, yeah, sushi, sashimi, but
cooked salmon.
Cooked salmon, no, okay. Do not like cooked salmon for whatever reason. But it does go really well with our salmon here.
Because salmon is not the reason I thought of that. I don't know why, because I felt like that was an outlier in the menu, because there was a lot of sausage base and maybe heavier meats, like, you know, some steaks and red meats and things like that. But you had the salmon, because we considered getting it, because I love salmon in all formats, sushi, sashimi, and cooked. But I was like, this is so, and I was saying it as a compliment to the beer, that this beer is so not what maybe people thought it is. It would go well with a very light fish like a salmon. I mean, maybe people might not think it is light because you think of a white fish, they have less flavor. But salmon is not like the most pungent of meats. And a beer like this, I felt like would really complement that, because it's kind of got like roasty, chocolatey notes on a subtle way that isn't, not in a sweet way, that would complement maybe a bit more of a savory, type of fish vibe. It's a beer that wouldn't traditionally be suggested to go with a meal like that. Was what I was getting at.
Yeah, when you posed the question, the first thing I thought of, and then you said it, was like, it goes really well with salmon, with our salmon. And then you said it, I was like, all right, yeah, I'm just going to piggyback on you on that one. Yeah, it's great with the salmon.
It's sick. It's just like, yeah, I'm a little, I'm passionate about the style. So I'm always like, but I've heard from like there's breweries out here I've had on the pod that have had like a black lager, they call it, like as a flagship, and they've always had challenges with getting people to understand it and to try it sometimes, you know, particularly as a flagship beer. Even though this one isn't for a flagship for you guys, it's definitely that January seasonal, which it actually said, you know what's funny? In the Untapped that I just found here, it actually says, in the very top of the, even though it's a different ABV, it says 5.5 here. It says January seasonal. So I wonder if this was, did the other Hofbräus maybe make it a 5.5?
They might have. We have a pretty wide range on that. So the other ones might have bumped it up a little bit higher. Gotcha. I know Hofbräuhaus Cleveland picked up, it wasn't a World Beer Cup, but Great American Beer Festival. Josh got an award. He got a medal for his Schwarzbier, which was absolutely dynamite. Well,
on this one here on Untapped, it's the number one on Untapped in 2025 and 2024 from Germany.
Oh.
So it's got these little medals that comes up in the side. I was like, oh. And it's only got 1.6K, like 1,600 check-ins, which is kind of low in general. That's what, but the very first words are January seasonal.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, well, this has got to be tied to that. And I was curious. I know Untapped isn't everything, but I find it a handy way to kind of keep track of stuff. I thought maybe they might have had like the Buffalo version, like was sort of like logged as a separate beer, so you can check into like, because it's brewed. All these beers are brewed separately. I would have imagined that potentially it could have been like, here's the Cleveland one, here's the Cincinnati one, here's the Kentucky one, here's the Buffalo one.
It might. I know we have a couple local groups. One of them's the Buffalo Beer League.
Okay.
And a lot of them are huge supporters of Hofbräuhaus. So they're in, and if there's a new beer that I come out with, they're usually loading it on tap, like prepping it for me
up there.
on there. Yeah,
awesome.
they're like, let's get this one set.
That is pretty cool. As a brewer, I feel like this is coming up a lot on the pod. Do you have any, and you can be like honest, like I like it as a consumer to keep track of what I'm doing, but I also understand the impact, whether positive or negative, on breweries. Do you have any particular thoughts as Scott, maybe not representing the brewery itself? Like, do you have any sort of feelings about Untapped? Does it piss you off, or do you think it's cool, or what's your thoughts?
I understand why it's there.
Mm-hmm.
I also understand, just like you go on Reddit or any of the social medias, you have people just trolling it. It's mostly a pain in my ass. It's like, honestly, it's a pain in the ass.
Understood.
I hear you have the vocal minority who are, I've gotten it plenty of times. Your beer has too much flavor for a lager. 1 star. Like, thank you. I think that's a backhanded compliment, but thanks. But I understand it's there. It's really good for a resource. All the beer that I brew here, we serve in-house. Previous breweries I've been at, where it was very heavy in distribution, I would reference Untapped for different locations. And if I saw it happened where, when I was in Florida, the beer was being served, I was like 200 miles away in this one restaurant. It always got low stars. And like, why? Because it was getting really good reviews here. Is it bad there? And contacting and all that, using Untapped, they had the beer they put the wrong tap handle on. So.
Okay. So people were judging it off the wrong specs.
It was off the wrong specs, which is why it got so low reviews. So I was able to contact the establishment, like, switch the handle. You got it mislabeled. Like, I think it was a wheat beer, like a Hefeweizen handle, and it was like a Belgian blonde, which is what they actually had on. So it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, expecting one thing, you're getting this. Like, this is the worst Hefeweizen I ever had. It tastes like a Belgian beer, because that's what was actually tapped on there.
That's kind of cool, though.
It's a good resource for that.
Yeah. Interesting. Dude, that's the first time I've heard someone say that. I love that. I think that's like a really cool, practical, like, outcome of that. That it's like, here's how I fixed the problem. Because if you didn't have Untapped to see shit ratings, you would never have known.
No idea what was going on.
But at the same time, the first thing you said was like, some people are like, the joke of often the brewers bring up are like, best lager I've ever had, 3 out of 5. Lagers themselves, I weight my lager ratings. I rate lagers even higher to offset the dickheads who rate them so low. I think it's important because it's like haze, smoothies, pastry stouts, or just stouts in general, or big, barrel aged stouts will get weighted at a higher rating, typically speaking. And it sucks because if that was like I had before, probably the best Hefeweizen I've ever had, that has to have a very high rating. Like, all of the things that I've rated, like my average rating on Untapped, I'm like, whatever. I feel like I'm a bit of an exceptional user in the sense that, like, I don't know. I think when I say exceptional user, I think like I drink a lot of phenomenal beers, so why the fuck would I rate them low? I'm also a little bit sensitive that I speak to people like yourself, that I get to know a lot of the people behind all this stuff, so I'm a little more like, well, I know how much care they put into this. Like, they really like are working on this. These people aren't like making beer that they don't think is phenomenal. Everyone's doing their best. My average is like 4.12 rating, but I know people who go and rate beer, just phenomenal beers, and I'd be like sick, and that's like 2.5. All these like, I'm like, I know it's not that. I know it's not a 2 or 3. Like, and people just have their own rating systems within Untapped.
Mm-hmm.
We once again, this is something that comes up a lot, and I'm like, people don't think about the fact that like there's distributors, which probably doesn't affect you over there at Hofbräu, but there's distributors, say in Europe, that will pick up North American, when I'm meaning, Canadian and US beers, and they have like a minimum average of like 4.2 before they'll even touch it. So if someone comes in, particularly in the early stages of maybe a beer just coming out, and people will go, sick, it was awesome, 3.1 or something, and that'll fuck the whole rating of a beer. Because for them, 3 out of 5 is actually really good, but in the Untapped world, it's not. So it's, I was curious how it would affect a brewery like Hofbräuhaus. Does it affect, because like you're talking about like the way you see it, and you're able to identify a problem, which I love that you said that. Have you had does it affect Hofbräu at all, or is it because it's such a global presence that it's irrelevant what people say?
It's the yes and no, but leaning more towards no, it doesn't affect us a whole lot.
Okay.
Because we are like a Bavarian experience. The beer is a part of the Bavarian experience. We get plenty of people that come in that come in with their families. They don't drink, or they only drink wine, or just mixed drinks. So sometimes beer isn't their thing. Or we do have a lot of people that come in. We're in Buffalo. We are, like 4 blocks from here is the Labatt import. So this is a blue light town. They come in. Do you serve blue, or do you serve blue light? No, we don't. No.
Really?
So it's a weird dynamic, and it took a while to kind of get a thick skin. I used to take it personal. Now I'm like, hey, some people like beer, some people don't. Some people like German styles, some people only want IPAs. We get a lot of people coming in. What do you have that's an IPA? The closest we can give is the half of Weizen.
Right.
I'll have that. This is the worst IPA I've ever had. Like,
Right.
it's not an IPA. So it's a give and take on there.
Gotcha. The blue thing is so funny, man. Like, because Labatt Blue is massive in Quebec, and in Ontario it's not. So like it's everywhere there, and it was it's attached to the cultural thing and it just like Genesee is in Rochester.
Mm-hmm.
But it sucks, and Genesee actually is kind of chill. Like every Genesee beer I've had is like, I don't mind it at all. Like it's actually like pretty sweet. I don't like the Labatt that's in Quebec at all. But then hearing that it's a Labatt town is very funny to me. That's very strange to hear that. Like I've seen the ads there. Like I'm driving on the highway coming down, say to you, from Lewiston, from north, and I'm seeing the billboards that are like Labatt. Like what? Like it's still so strange. Like the Labatt and Labatt Blue like has a presence in Western New York, to the point where there's a brewery nearby. There's actually where they make it. Is that correct? So that's what you're saying?
No, the North American import. So all the Labatt that comes in the States gets
from Canada.
From Canada gets routed through here. But like this is such a big blue light town.
Wow.
Right across the river, there's a 6-pack, like 6 grain silo. It looks like a giant 6-pack. It is blue with Labatt Blue, like a giant Labatt 6-pack down here. So but a lot of people over time, as a generation switch over, and especially us, like we brew authentic, traditional German lagers. People are pretty open to that.
Right.
So we get a good group here, young and old. We get a lot of young people. Mm-hmm. We get a lot of older people.
It speaks across the spectrum because lagers are kind of like everyone's into them. Doesn't matter how old you are.
Yeah, it's universal.
Yeah.
In the beer.
you could give so maybe you couldn't give an IPA drinker something that they want, because it's almost like if you're an IPA drinker and you go to a fucking German a German satellite brewery and you expect to see an IPA of North American style, like you probably should look into that a little bit more. But someone who's a macro lager drinker could come in, have the first beer we had, the premium lager or the original, and that would scratch that itch.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
totally.
Like it's, but and hopefully, would you say, okay, we talked about sort of, I think you mentioned it earlier, the word gateway beer, which I love that term. We talk about that a bunch here. Like, what do you think are the main gateway beers that you do, that you've seen, like maybe from your personal experience, that have like converted people? Because I always feel like sometimes it's obvious and sometimes they're like the less obvious styles are the conversions.
It's, I would say, people who like, well, used to be Shock Top. That's not around.
Oh, like
But,
orange wheats.
Orange wheat. So, like a Blue Moon. What do you have that's
Mm.
like a Blue Moon? Hefeweizen.
But like
We'll
a
even
good
give you
one.
an orange slice on that one. Or like the bar will do beer infusion. So they can do like
Okay.
a blood orange or a mango Hefeweizen.
That's fun.
Up at the bar, it's outside of Reinheitsgebot. When my beers make it into my serving tanks, it's no longer Reinheitsgebot. So they can do with it whatever they want to out there. But like the macro lager drinkers, the premium lager, or like in July I released my pills, my Bavarian pills there.
Cool.
Everybody loves that one. It's not quite a Czech pills. It's a little less spicier than that,
Okay.
but very like I pride myself on that one. It's super clean, super
July?
light. Yeah, for July.
For like July 1st onwards?
First Thursday in July, unless it's July 4th.
Let's
So-
go. Dude, that's on. That sounds incredible. And particularly if you're the most excited about it, that's even cooler.
Yeah, that beer will be brewing that within the next week or two. That one I just like to let chill.
Like
The longer it chills out the
12 weeks.
fermenter,
Yeah.
the smoother it gets. But it still keeps a really nice hop presence. That one turns out really good.
Oh man. Okay, I'm psyched for that. There's the pilsners and German and Czech pilsners are the greatest. Okay, that's actually a good question. What are the seasonals, right? That's what I wanted to talk about before, because we're obviously drinking the January seasonal, right? And because it says on the menu which beers are coming out in which month, so it seems like it's pretty locked schedule.
It typically is. I actually called I'm in the brewery office right now. I have the specialty calendars from the past couple of years up on the wall. August, I would usually do have on there a summer Weizen.
Okay.
Yeah, I have summer Weizen on there, which is kind of, it's not a Hefeweizen, it's not a Dunkel Weizen, it's kind of an amber Hefeweizen. So an amber Weizen. It's got a fancy name that starts with a B. Germans like to not use spaces between their words. So it's like a 20-letter word for amber summer
Lager.
beer.
Right.
I would normally do that one, but this year I just called it the Braumeister Spezial. So I don't know what I'm actually brewing for it.
Okay.
I kind of left that an open slot. I might brew a Rogan beer, which is like a Hefeweizen, but with rye. Tinkering with that one, or like a low ABV lager. It's just something really light, really good for the middle of summer. So I'm kind of kicking that one around, but
Cool.
Typically, January is the Schwarzbier, February is the Doppelbock, March is the Märzen. That one is just hanging out in the fermenter right now. April, I do, it's a Royal Export, which is basically a Dortmunder, and then a Dortmunder Export. And I actually split that batch in half. I'll filter half of it as a Dortmunder or the Royal Export, and then I'll keep the other half as a Spickel beer or young unfiltered lager. We found that one out
probably 2 years ago, because we kept just going to the fermenter and pulling a sample. Like, this is really good. Like, I like this better than the filtered version. So last year we decided to just split it, and we had the filtered and the Zwickle, the unfiltered, side by side on there. So I'll do that. June will be the Hopfenweizen, kind of like my wheat IPA on there. July is the Pils. August, to be determined. September, I'll release. Oh, May is the Maibach. That's another beer that comes in from Munich. Hofbräuhaus created that style, so that's a very special one for them.
Okay.
September will be the Munich Oktoberfest beer. October will be my Fest beer. November is a Winterschwickel, which is, it actually started out as one of my test batches.
Okay.
So it's a young, unfiltered version of a Dunkel with a little bit more roast to it.
I had that. It was sick.
That one turns out really cool.
Yeah, that was in 2024.
December, I do a Dunkler Bock.
I had that a month ago.
I might still have some.
Yeah, it was still around. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. It was fantastic. This was fire. Okay. Because I wasn't sure what it was. Because Zwickle is an interesting term. It's a little bit, not generic. I was about to say generic. That's the wrong way. I didn't exactly know what it meant. And I was like, all right, this one sounds sick. And there was still some left from November.
Yeah. There's Keller in German, like a Keller beer. Keller is cellar. So a Keller beer is usually unmatured, unfiltered, and then a Zwickle translates as like sampling port. So the port that we pull the beers off of for doing all of our analysis and testing off the fermenter, it's Zwickle. So it's a fancy way of saying we're going to serve you the beer that we sample right off the fermenter. So it's like a sampling beer. So it's younger. It still has a yeast in suspension. It's carries some different characteristics. For like the Winterschwickel, that yeast still holds a lot of that deep roastiness. So it comes out across as a lot of dark chocolate, robust coffee notes on there versus the Dunkel.
Right.
Yeah. So the Winterschwickel, it's getting cold. Like our beers, we're in Buffalo. The summers are hot. The winters are cold. So I try to do a lot of the fruitier, more lighter beers during summer, and then the heavier, bigger beers during winter.
Gotcha. Yeah, really catering it to the climate and to the sort of like the palates of the people.
Yeah, we got to work with what we got. We're like a kilometer from Lake Erie. We get hammered here.
Right. Oh yeah, it's very funny even coming from Hamilton.
Right here.
Yeah, dude. Every time we come to Buffalo, I'm always like, sometimes this year has been horrendous in Hamilton, but say last year was pretty. Actually, not 2 years ago was really chill. 2024, basically nothing. We went every time I go to Buffalo, like say I'd be wearing like sneakers around here, and then we're going to Buffalo, let's put the boots on because we're gonna need it. Like it's just so funny. It's just around the lake a little bit, and then like an hour drive. It's 45 minutes to the border. Absolutely hilarious, like how much you guys get hit. But it's sick that you're able to cater to that and sort of work within the local climate and palate.
Yeah, it's we see our beer sales during the summer. Hefeweizen's really strong. Dunkel beer, very low. Winter, Hefeweizen goes down, Dunkel comes up. So we just kind of learn it's colder, you want something more robust. It's hot out, you want something light and refreshing.
Pretty standard.
We just brew it around that, and people like it, and we work with it and just run with it.
Yeah. I love it. The other thing I was thinking was with regard to those, 12 months of specialty beers that you get to really kind of like play with a bit, aside from like, the Maibach and things like that you mentioned, but like it really feels like the restriction that one might assume that you'd be under is you got a lot of bandwidth right there. Like the things that we've talked about, like all the different ones that you're doing, it's pretty wide ranging, and it sounds like you're able to really kind of like, obviously you've got a thing, you're not going to go and do a New England IPA, but like you within the borders in which you're playing, like there's a lot of room to move, and it's not like as restrictive as maybe it might be perceived to be. Just that there's so many, every month is something so different that's so seasonally appropriate, that's so like on brand for Hofbrau, that's also on brand for German beers, that's fun for you as a brewer, because if you wouldn't have, as someone who's worked in beer for quite, like you said, 14 years, I imagine that if this was so restrictive to the point where you were bored because you couldn't do anything that you wanted to do, you probably wouldn't still be there. But obviously here we are, you're killing it. You've been running the show since day one out here, and it's that speaks kind of like volumes as far as what you're able to do, and within a range, you're able, like, you've got these restrictions, you're like, sick, so let's go nuts within these restrictions, and you're making it work within those. Like sometimes it's better to have like end points than just like whatever you want.
Yeah, I've been in roles where I could do whatever I wanted to, and after a while it gets pretty fatiguing on there. Then moving it into, you have to operate within these parameters. It's like, now you're really challenging me, because it turns into technical brewing. How can I massage this? And even with Reinheitsgebot, there's been 500 years of brewers figuring out, unofficially, loopholes. So we know how to work around some things and still qualify for it.
Right.
But still have some leeway. I mean, the core beers are the core beers are the core beers. Those have to be tight. Those are fun because, like, even the weather dictates that if it's snowing here or if it's windy here, it will change the dynamic of the brewing process, because our system is a 2,000 liters, a 20 hectoliter system. It's, in American, it's like 17 and a half barrel on there. It's big, but it's on the smaller side. So the weather dictates a lot on there. So we'll see, hey, even the water, the pH or the temperature of our water. I mean, we're pulling off the lake. It is like 3 degrees Celsius coming in this building. It is brutally cold this time of year. It throws a lot of dynamics, and it's like, well, now I feel challenged. How do we work through that? And then the specialty beers, working within those parameters, even though they're loose, there's still some pretty good parameters on there. But finding joy in the technical brewing is a big thing, because I can't add finings, I can't dry hop. Like, the beers are the beer. How it comes out is what we put into it. It's got to be clean. It's got to be really, really good.
I love that, man. You said that, finding joy in the I'm just writing that down. Even that's so good. Like finding joy in the technical brewing. That's really, I think that's the bet. That's just kind of what it is. That's kind of everything. Like, if you can't find that joy, then you're in the wrong job, and that's what you're doing, because you've gone and done everything, and now you're like, all right, I've got this little box that I got to work within, but within that box, it's pretty sweet. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. There's a lot of really incredible, very different beer that has a lot of historical significance that you could also put your own spin on, that they're not going to hassle you about. So it's like you've got the restriction plus the freedom in this within the same thing. So it's kind of it's an interesting mix that is enough to keep somebody around to be like, yo, this is pretty sick. And it's got, like, without being like overly dramatic, I imagine there's some sort of an honor to be making beers that's been around for 500 years, and you're being entrusted with the recipe for at least the flagships, let's say, the 3 flagships. You're like, this shit's been around a long time. And then you're here in Buffalo, New York, quite a ways away from Munich, Germany, being entrusted by the company that has offered the franchise out there, and to replicate that brewery, to represent that brand in Western New York. It's got to be pretty cool. Is that a fair take?
Yeah, it is. I said it before. It's humbling.
Yeah.
To be allowed to brew a lot of these beers, to kind of carry the banner of Hofbräuhaus that's been around for centuries, and to brew these beers that have been around for centuries, to make it as authentic as we can with the parameters that we have. Mostly the water. Trying to manipulate around the water is always the biggest thing. But being able to be just a handful of other brewers that get to do this, because there's not many of us.
There really isn't. Like, I actually have it right here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the States, 2 in Germany, 1 in Austria, 1 in China. So there really isn't that many people to get to do it. And it's I feel like it's a real, like, as a brewer, it's going to be like a cool, whatever happens, however long you stay there. Like, it's like something that you can really take with you, whatever you end up doing, to, you know, have this level of like quality assurance that you've had to maintain, you know. And you showed us those equipment, and you were really, and I want to really give you credit for this, because this is what we sort of mentioned this. I don't remember if we mentioned off air or on air, but the metric to imperial type of thing. It's pretty crazy that, you know, obviously in the States it's all imperial, and this is what is interesting as a foreigner for all of the places. In Australia, everything is metric. In England, where we are from, essentially, it's a mix. In Canada, it's a mix. I've forgotten. I used to know only my weight, and I go to the gym. Everything's kilos. I've fucking forgotten all of it, dude. It's straight pounds now. I don't know anything. Even when I worked in construction, it went from centimeters and stuff to inches and everything. And then and this might not be strange to people, but in Australia we had Phillips and flathead screwdrivers. Here they also have the Robertson one, the square one. I was like, what the fuck is this? So I had to go learn. There's a whole other different screw system. When I first moved here, like 15 years ago, I worked with my friend owned he just hooked me up for jobs for a bit. Like, and then in the States, it's straight imperial. So then you, as an American man from Pennsylvania, then in Florida, then in Buffalo, an imperial dude, you know Fahrenheit, you know inches and miles and yards and da-da-da. And now you open this brewery and you've got to all of a sudden learn the metric system to the point of, it's not just like know what it is, but you have to really understand it. And then you got to convert it, as you were telling me, for both the American side and then the Munich side, for running reports and all that type of stuff. So you want to like speak to that, because I just thought it was like really funny, but interesting that was like a thing that you had to deal with.
Yeah, that one I used to brew in gallons, barrels. American beer barrel is 31 gallons. All my tax reports, even now, are still in barrels. So 31 American gallons on there. Everything was in Fahrenheit. Even some of the calculations and readings were in what we would call just standard American readings. Coming here and having to learn Celsius, having to learn liters versus gallons, hectoliters versus barrels, Celsius, Fahrenheit,
centimeters,
versus
inches,
centimeters,
pounds,
inches,
kilograms,
pounds and kilograms.
Yep.
I tried to immerse myself into it. So my truck I had at the time, I went through and I switched it all over to like the Canadian settings on there.
Oh,
and so it was all in kilometers, it was all in Celsius, all the readings, just to try to get a real good feel for it.
That's dedication, by the way.
Yeah, then I went and traded my truck in and forgot to flip it back over to miles. And they're like, you have like 400,000 kilometers on your truck. I'm like, no, I have like 190,000 miles. And then he showed me, I'm like, oh, I never reset it. So my trade-in value got wrecked on that one. That was my fault. I never flipped my truck back over to miles on there. But over time learning it, and I just hired another assistant brewer who used to be one of my brewers in the past, and we're trying to teach him Celsius versus Fahrenheit, liters versus gallons. He's like, this is so tough. And then 5 days later, he's like, this makes so much sense. So
it is more logical, I guess.
It is so logical.
Yeah.
All my reports every month, I had to fill out spreadsheets, fill out a lot of reports, and send it to Munich. But then when I have to fill out all my tax forms for the U.S. government, it's all in barrels. So I have to fill it out and then convert everything back over to American gallons, American barrels. So I wish we would just switch over to metric down here.
Yeah.
It makes so much more sense.
Like, what about it? And this is, we talked about this in person. I just thought it was really funny because you were telling me that your kids were annoyed at you because you kept bringing metric stuff, and obviously they're in school and doing all that thing, and they're like, Dad, like, what the fuck? Like, chill on this. What about, was it just because it was like, everything was more like, okay, well, 100 meters in a kilometer. No, it's not. That's not true. 1,000 meters in a kilometer, 100 centimeters in a meter. Like, everything is a little more like easy, whereas like pounds, gallons, everything is a little more kind of like almost random, like ounces, all these different things are a little more random. Is that what connected for you? Was just that more like consistent decimal, like the tens, whereas like 100,000, 10, all those.
Yeah, it was like base 10. Because I love to cook. So at home, a lot of my recipes are in grams, like the oven is in Celsius, and it's like 500 milliliters of this. The kids are like, can you just make this make sense for me? I'm like, turn the measuring cup around. It's right there.
It's right there. They're on both sides.
They're like, oh, you're killing me on that. So they razz me and I razz them. Yeah. So I set up a lot of things just to torment them.
That is honestly hilarious, but I also really love and respect your dedication to it. It was, even for me coming over as an Aussie coming over to Canada, which is a more because it's like kilometers, but then everything else is pounds. Like, no one orders anything by kilograms. No, I forgot my weight in kilograms. I only know pounds now. Like, everything is in that. I don't even remember the conversion, how to do it. Like, I've been here 15 years, so it's fucked my head up. I was really like on it. That's all it was. It was very simple. What I said to you, and I forgot what your retort was to me, so I want to put this back at you again. I was like, somebody said to me, and I forgot who it was, like, if you think about precision in temperature, say, just the temperature, not all the other stuff. Celsius is like 2 point something Fahrenheit, say. So if I'm in a hotel room and I'm put it down like 1 degree Celsius, that's like 2 point something degrees Fahrenheit. So it's much less specific to what the outcome that you want. Whereas if I'm there and I want to make it 70, put it down to 72, it's a little more precise, and because there's a little more like notches in the whatever whatever the thing is. And you had a good, I forgot what your response to me was, because I did say that to you the first time we met. And do you remember what the response was?
I am trying to remember, but
whatever it was, it made so much sense. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, man.
Like, I know going from Celsius to Fahrenheit, it's 9/5 plus 32. So
9/5 plus
9/5 plus 32.
I heard so less
when we're looking at it, it's basically like Celsius, like double the number, add like 30, and you'll get in a ballpark on there. And Plus, I mean, it's Celsius. 0 degrees Celsius is freezing. 100 degrees Celsius is boiling.
Yeah.
We deal with liquids. Mostly water.
Where it's like
Those
32 is freezing, and then what's boiling?
212. Yeah.
Okay. When you put it like that, it's like, okay, this is obscene. I forgot. I think I was telling you. I forgot that like the oven. So all the ovens here are all Fahrenheit. So you got to put like pretty hot is like 400. I don't know what the equivalent is in Celsius anymore. I have no idea. I'm going to Australia on Monday, so I guess I'll find out on my mom's oven. But I'm pretty sure it's like 200 and something. But I've forgotten because it used to just be like, oh, that's what you do. You want it to be hot, that's what you put on. Or you want it to be chilled, like say like in Fahrenheit, if 400 is really hot, like 300, 350 is kind of light. So then whatever that is, 180 or something like that Celsius. But I just don't remember what the equivalents were. It does make more sense for sure. It's more just like, because then you would just do like a decimal point. You'd be like, oh, it's 23.5 degrees, not like 23 or 24 degrees. Like you just have to do a decimal point, because then the decimal points are in tens. So it's pretty easy to do it, like even in height or in temperature or in any of those different things. Like, yeah, all the kilometers versus miles or whatever because like, what is it? I think it's 1.69 kilometers is 1 mile.
Yeah, right
and
in
like
around there.
4 point something liters per gallon type of thing, because I'm filling up gas in the States and I'm like, what the fuck does this mean? Like I look at the gas stuff, it's $3.89. I'm like, for what is the fuck is it? Like I'm trying to like so as like a foreigner coming in, I just had no idea. So now I've been here so long that I've been in the States so much that I understand it a lot better and have somewhat forgotten and then go in between. So it's I just appreciated your candor with how much you liked the metric system and like particularly for the job that you're in, because there's so much liquid. It actually does make a lot of sense, like hectoliters and all those different things.
Yeah, once I learned it, it was like, oh, this is so much easier. Because before I was here, I had a lot of friends who were brewers in Ontario, and we're talking about stuff, and they're firing off Celsius and hectoliters. So I'm like,
what are they talking about?
I'm subtly on my phone, like, what is a hectoliter? So, I want to look like an idiot, but I have no idea what you're talking about. But now it's
now you're totally on it.
Yeah, I can go back and forth.
Hex and barrels are probably one of the closest measurements. Is that accurate? Like hectoliters and barrels, like Canadian hectoliters, American barrels, as far as like a volume of beer, aren't they like one of the closest comparisons? Or am I off my head?
So a question came up the other day in the brewery, like Ontario kegs. Like if I went to buy a keg in Ontario, does it have different Sankey fittings? Like the different couplers on there.
Yeah.
What sizes are they? Half barrel or are they in liter? So
50,
everything
30 and 20. Yeah.
And an American half barrel 15.5 gallons is like 56.8 point something liters.
Okay.
So learning, like going back and forth, because I do have some American kegs here for some offsite events. Like I want to prep it, because if I'm sending all of my stuff, which is 50-liter kegs, I got to send special equipment with it. So I have some American kegs just to make life easier.
Oh man, it's you're in an interesting position where you're one of the few probably American brewers who have to sort of deal with the other side of things. But yeah, I just think it's really funny that funny in a good way that you appreciate the other side more and bringing that in, because it's like I always respected the American dedication to the imperial system, as in like you were like no. We are rocking with it. We're the only country in the world that does Fahrenheit for temperature. Nowhere else on the entire planet, if I'm not wrong.
so stubborn with stuff.
So
sometimes.
stubborn. It's like America's the funnest place in the world. I think it's the funnest. And I think it's like funny. I don't really, it's the one thing I've always tried to understand. I kind of have a vague understanding over time, but even like spending 6 weeks in Florida, I still like, I'm like, oh, it's 28 degrees Celsius. I'm like, yeah, that makes much more sense. So yeah, I can't always get into it, but I try. It's, and you're in an interesting, unique world.
Yeah. And where I live north of Buffalo. I'm up in Lockport, right along the Niagara Escarpment.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to listen to radio stations, I always listen to stations out of Toronto. So I'm listening. So I wake up, it's minus two degrees out. I'm like, it's a warm day versus like what it has been around here. Like, and like minus 15 Celsius around here, like super cold. I also get a whole lot of lake effect snow off of Ontario.
Okay.
So I get it at home off of Ontario. I drive down here to Buffalo and I get it off of Lake Erie. Like, so I'm in a lose-lose situation. So bad most of the time.
Nothing to have. There's too many lakes. God damn it. That is out of control. Scotty, you want to take another bathroom break and then we'll get into the next one?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I figured now we're at that point. We broke the seal.
It's time. Sounds good.
We'll be right back, yo. And we are back, Uncle Scott. And we are going to get to the largest beer of the evening. The which seasonal was this one?
The February release.
February, and we're recording this February 13th. Oh, 13th. So we got this right on time. This is the Doppelbock.
Yes.
Right here. Now, a Doppelbock at is it 8%?
Yes, it is.
That's
why we saved this one for the last.
That's why we saved it till last. Now, a Bock means strong, right?
Yes.
So a Doppelbock means double
strong. Yeah.
And the base is like anything specific?
It's I brewed a couple different bocks. It's dark amber lager, darker than amber, kind of between like a Vienna and a Dunkel.
Okay.
Making it a Doppelbock. I mean, very traditional style. This one was basically developed by the monks.
Okay.
During Lent, where they couldn't eat, they made a big old heavy sweet beer. So like you can get, just like the Belgians, a big old beer to make their way through the day until nighttime.
Okay. And it basically sustenance in a glass.
Yeah. Liquid bread.
Liquid bread. Look at that. And is there anything else specific about Doppelbocks that is important to know?
It's usually like a one time a year, usually during Lenten, during fasting. It is probably my favorite beer to actually brew.
Really, eh?
This style. I used to make it. It was a little bit more reddish. Because out in the beer hall late at night, the lights are down. They would pour it and they would have it side by side with the Dunkel. And they couldn't figure out which one was which. So I used to have it a little bit more red just to have a color difference on there. But it shifted over a little bit more brown, deep mahogany on there. This year I kicked it back a little bit more deep ruby on there, which I like it like that.
Yeah. Ruby is a fantastic word for this one. Okay, 8%. Honestly, dude, this is so dangerous. There was no world in which I would say that was 8%. That's insane. That's insane.
Probably the biggest thing I pride myself on is
making that.
We can make it smooth, but higher alcohol, we can still smooth it out a lot.
It's insane. Like, and once again, this is a style. Okay, so it's Hofbräu Doppelbock Winter Special. Is that fair? Or is there's a few different versions here on Untapped.
Yeah, the Winter Special, that is the Munich version.
Gotcha. So it's the next one down.
Hofbräu Doppelbock.
Sorry,
Yeah, because the bourbon barrel aged one comes from Cleveland.
Gotcha.
So yeah, call it the Hofbräu Doppelbock.
Gotcha. 8.4 this says for this one, but that's probably like the actual one. And yours is like a variant of that. Okay.
Yeah. You'll see with Doppelbocks, especially with traditional German breweries, the names usually end in like ATOR.
Okay.
Like Aventur,
I've seen those.
Delicator. A lot of them just to kind of give it a little bit more something on there.
Gotcha. Look, that makes sense. It's okay. So this is like, I feel like once again, it's one of those styles like back in the early beer days when I was drinking a lot more Hefeweizens and a lot more different styles that were kind of before a lot of the local things were sort of popping. Like the most crazy thing you could do is do the IBU wars. Remember those days?
Yes.
Like, yeah, you wanted just the punchiest, tongue stripping, bitter beer, right? So I remember I drank a ton of these back in the day when I didn't know really jack about beer and I just really was looking at the different flavors. This is like, there's no like indication. I remember if I think of Doppelbock, I think of incredibly sweet and all crazy like clove and stuff like that, like over the top spices. Whereas this is like the way you described it was essentially like a punchy, ramped up Dunkel, and that's what I'm getting from this. Is that's fair?
Yeah, it's a little bit lighter in color.
That's crazy.
And it almost can kick off some Belgian notes, some dark fruit, some like orchard fruit, some plum, a little bit of raisin. Okay. And I know I'm pretty sure when yous were down last time, I had the Eisbach, which was very much like a Belgian dark strong.
That was much more intense, obviously, than this because it's like 10, 11%?
16.
Okay.
16 and a half, 17 on there, depending on which one I had on there.
That's like a barley wine at that point.
Yeah. A lager version of a barley wine.
And what was the other? We had a second sample of something else that was intense.
That was probably the special treated Maibach.
That sounds about right.
Might have been the tequila oak one.
Tequila. That's exactly what it was. Tequila oak. So you got a barrel program out there.
Sort of. Yes, unofficially. It's I can do it. I've been aging some Maibach in a Krupnik barrel. So Krupnik, around here we have a large Polish population. The Monday after Easter is called Dingus Day.
Okay.
So it's around here is a huge Polish celebration. And Krupnik, it's like a honey spice liqueur. So a local distillery, I got a barrel from them and I'm aging Maibach on that one. Damn. Other than that, I'll get a whole bunch of oak spirals and I'll do aging with oak spirals. Just because this facility is with all the German lager set up here, doing barrels, it's really difficult to get all the pieces together to work it correctly.
Right. So it's easy to put the spirals in.
Yeah, it's easier to put the spirals in than putting the beer in a barrel and then getting it back out.
That makes sense. What styles do you put on the spirals?
Right now, I'm just working with some Maibach, or I have some Doppelbock. Some of the bigger, bolder beers, like the Doppelbock, they can take a lot of aging. They can handle a lot of the woody tannins on there. versus like the lager or the Hefeweizen. It will just wreck those beers.
Right. Interesting. So like it doesn't make any sense to physically have like, you know, a rack of barrels that you would put into that would sort of like age anything that you're doing, whether it's, I mean, I guess you a little bit, I'm gonna say a little bit, like, you know, you're restricted as far as the styles that you could do, but I don't know. I mean, aside from the Doppelbock and stuff, like if you're like an ice buck is like it's made on ice, right? Like it's made sort of like flash fermented, or there's some sort of frozen element of it.
It's unofficially, I will freeze the kegs. So the story of an ice bock dates back into Germany, where they had the wooden barrels, and a brewery assistant accidentally left a wooden barrel of Doppelbock outside in the snow. It froze. The brewer brought it back in, ripped the barrel apart, and it was all iced, and poked a hole, and there was concentrated beer in the middle. And he made, like, the Braumeister made the assistant, like, as your punishment, you have to drink this beer. So he drank it and absolutely loved it. And so, as the story goes, that's where an ice bock came from, by accidentally leaving a barrel outside in the snow.
I mean, that's pretty funny if that's true. And they sort of took that, and it's almost like an ice wine version of beer, where they took that frozen version, which is just like an intensified base, and you didn't, that ice book was pretty raw, like that was not any, that one didn't have any barrel
Correct. Yeah.
exposure. And it was like, I feel like, once again, it's one of those styles, along with Doppelbock, along with different things, that back in the day, I feel like it was just around more. And I might be completely like out of my mind, but I'm fairly certain that like there was things like that that were popping up. So it was cool. Yeah, it was the Icebox and the the other one was the tequila barrel aged. Would you say strong ale?
Maibach.
Okay, which is essentially a strong ale. Okay, which
Yeah.
was the one that was sent over. So you take the one that they send over and then put it in a tequila barrel.
Yeah, I had some kegs left over after May, after all of My Fest and the Maibach release. I kept a couple of them just to kind of experiment with.
That's pretty sick. And you're allowed to serve that, and there's no problem from that side.
Well, I keep those because we have our Stein Club, so it's.
All the lockers on the way to the bathroom.
With the lockers, you have your 1 liter stoneware. You got all kinds of beers, all kinds of rewards, all kinds of perks. So for that group, I make a very small batch of specialty beers and just release it for them. That's where those come from.
Gotcha. And that's what we get to try. Okay. Yeah. So people like are in Hofbräu House Buffalo. When you go to the bathroom, on the right hand side, there's all these like little lockers where everyone gets to lock up their stein. They're like the ceramic mug, their custom one, which is like, it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty sick. And they're able to get some fun stuff, which is, it's almost like unexpected from the brand, because you're expecting a, what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word that means, like, homogenous experience in the most beautiful way of the term, in that, like, you go to Germany, I'm going to experience that. And then I come to Buffalo, I'm going to experience the same thing. I go to Cleveland, I go to Cincinnati, I go to Kentucky, I go to Newport, all those things. Like, but then this is like the fun part, where you're like, all right, well, if I get a mug there, get to lock that shit in, and then Scott's going to make some fire different stuff that I get to drink that's in the realm of what Hofbräu does, but also it's really extra fun and different than if I was in Pittsburgh or if I was in Cleveland. Very cool, man.
Yeah, just really trying to offer a really cool, unique experience, especially for our Stein Club, because I'm in charge of Stein Club, so I can kind of double dip on that one. I work with our Stein members, so with that, I talk to them all the time. Like, what can I help out with? So the there's we call it Geheimnis beer, basically secret beer.
Nice.
And from doing research in the past, because I love brewing alt beers, and there used to be like a Sticka alt beer, which
what does
or
that
a
mean?
basically like a secret or a strong alt beer, and they would never get verbally like advertised. And it was always like a small brewery. The same people for generations came in. And if they saw above the bar, like a special Stein sitting there, if they saw it there, they would know the Braumeister had a special beer available. So I have something similar here. So if you see it there, you know there's some special beers available.
That's sick. But you have to be a member of the club to get it.
Yeah, you got to be a member of the club to try it.
How does that club work, just for people who are around, or even for the Canadians who are on this side of the border who are so close that it's viable? What's the vibes?
It's for the first year to sign up, it's right in around $200 US.
Not bad.
$199 and change US. Okay. You get a Stein, you get your locker, you get a special card, you register it, you end up with like 14 free liters of beer throughout the year. You get parking discounts, you get gift shop discounts, you get dining discounts. So if you're around, it absolutely pays for itself. And then renewal every year is like 150 US.
That's pretty sweet, dude. I like that. The gift shop as well, by the way, just to note, like it's a whole like room. It's not just like a rack. There's like a room of stuff.
There's so much stuff there. They change it over all the time.
They do too? Okay.
Yeah.
It's very cool. And you know what I like? Correct me if I'm wrong, dude. I'm pretty sure that the last time I was there, I was even looking, they had like, there's like Buffalo very specific things, like the sports team stuff, like Bills stuff and like Sabres stuff or whatever. That's like Hofbräu branded, but also alluding to the local team. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Buffalo is a huge sports town. So
yeah, I think
a little bit there.
Yeah, a little bit.
So it's everything that we do has to be approved. If it has a Hofbräuhaus logo on it, we're representing Hofbräuhaus. So we need to get it approved. So we have some Sabres or some Bills inspired Hofbräuhaus gear. I do not have any in here right now in the office, but I have a whole bunch of it at home.
It's like one of the things I noticed coming, because I didn't, like, personally, I'm not a sports guy in any shape or form, but what I love to see on both sides of the border, like my friend who owns the cafe here in Hamilton called Duran, who is one of the biggest, the best beer fridge in the province, I think. He fucking loves the Bill. So he'll go up there for the week. He'll go to the games. Like he'll get that like Thin Man Buffalo, the Buffalo Pills, whatever it's called.
Yeah, Buffalo Pills.
Yeah, you'll get that in over here and stuff. Like there's like a real regiment of people, even in Hamilton, I see wearing Buffalo gear, like Bills gear. Then I go over there, everybody is just wearing Bills gear. I don't know. It's like it's not something I have seen that much before. I just think I think it's pretty sick that people are into it so much, and that a brewery like Hofbräu from Germany, but are in Buffalo, and that are of Buffalo. Like you're not like some sort of outside. Like everyone's like, no, we're like part of this. Is all the people here work here. We're from Buffalo. We rep Buffalo, even if you're from multiple places. America's people moves around a lot because it's a eclectic, cool country with like dope cities all over the place. So why the fuck wouldn't you move around? But they don't, like, they represent Buffalo really well. From an outsider perspective, I'm like, oh, this feels like if I was from, I'd be pretty happy to see all of this stuff here. So it feels really authentic. Is that a fair take?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
We're Hofbräuhaus, but we're also in Buffalo. I go around my brew house. I look out the window. I see the arena where the Sabres play. Our lacrosse team, the Bandits, have won like 3 championships in a row. So nice. We have really close, really good sports connections right here because we're so close.
to the arena. We're downtown.
Mm.
So a lot of events, like we end up being the place to show up. And so we want to represent it. We love Buffalo.
I love that, man. I know. I think that's really cool. It's just like because I don't care, but I see it and I'm like attracted to it. Like I just think it's cool. I'm happy for y'all that how much everyone loves the sports, like and sort of reps it. Like everywhere we go, there's just like go to Trader Joe's. Every other person has some sort of Buffalo hoodie, sweater, beanie, hat, scarf, some shit. Like it's like people really like rep it wherever they go out there. So I think it's really cool that that you guys really like. And I imagine it's probably the exact same thing in Cincinnati, in Cleveland, in Pittsburgh, for as far as people working at Hofbräu, because I know Pittsburgh people specifically are extraordinarily proud of Steelers and all.
Yeah, the Steelers, the Penguins, the Pirates. Yeah,
there you go. Exactly, all of that they rep hard. So it's like imagine the same thing, which really integrates the brewery, like a German brewery, into the community, because the people who are working there are not from Munich; they're from the town that they're in. And they're really taking that extra angle, which makes it like authentic to Germany because of the food, because of the beer and everything like that, but also integrates into the community because I'm seeing like Hofbräu blending with that local team that is so important to the community. Like it works really well. It feels organic and doesn't feel like forced. That was my take on it when I saw it. I was like, because the Bill stuff was so ever present wherever I go there. And I'm like, oh, of course I come to the German brewery and they forgot Bill's gear. Like that makes sense. Well, combined, collab gear or such. And I was like, yeah, it's sick, man. So I feel like it's like, just like a true part of the community. It's not like actually, that is actually a question for you. On that note, then, like, you're obviously repping for Buffalo, but what's the deal with if, say, because you've been working for different breweries and you've got contacts in different places across the city and beyond, if you wanted to collab, you did tell me this when I met you, but this is probably actually good. I just remembered the answer to the question. Like, how would it work for collabs? Like, does Hofbräu do collabs? Can you bring to Munich and be like, hey guys, this brewery out here wants to do a collab. Can we do it? Or do you how does it all go down?
That one, I'm not officially allowed to do collaborations
From Hofbräu. Okay.
From Hofbräu. So when I do collaborations, I'm a guest brewer. So up on my bookshelf, there's all of Western New York. We got together and we will brew collaborations together. So on the can, it lists all these breweries. And then there's this little blurb that says, and Scott. So, because we can't put Hofbräuhaus on there, it's called the and Scott series.
That's hilarious.
So I'll go around and brew at other breweries, but it can't be called a collaboration. It's Scott, who works at the German brewery in Buffalo.
Gotcha.
It's usually the and Scott.
So you're going to be like, and Scott, bit vague about it. But
yeah, but everybody knows.
Everyone knows what it is.
Yeah, everybody knows.
I mean, that's cool. Would they ever like do an official one, or they're just like absolutely not even?
They've done a couple in the States. I think one of them was with Leinenkugels.
Oh, okay.
Out of the Midwest.
Yeah, I know that.
And they also did like a beer schnapps collaboration, like barrel aged beer schnapps. So like taking the Doppelbock, distilling it, aging it in barrels, and releasing it. But those are very big, like big deals, and rarely occur.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
it's few and far between.
Yeah, when I brew around here offsite, it's and Scott, the guest brewer. Yeah.
Okay. That reminded me when you were talking about the barrel thing. Do you guys ever do the I forgot the name, but it's the hot poker where you put the hot thing. So a Doppelbock is the perfect style for it. You put that thing in it, it caramelizes it. Beer Stalen or something.
Yeah. Beer Stockholm?
Yeah.
I have one right behind that can that says and Scott. Mine's a Buchanter. Yeah.
Bierstacheln.
yeah,
Bierstacheln. How do you say that?
Bierstacheln.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically the fiery pokey stick.
Yeah.
In the beer.
Which is
so
sick.
I have one for personal use.
Okay.
That was actually gifted to me when we would do like beer food pairing dinners here.
Okay.
Like my final course, like the dessert course, I'll usually have Doppelbock. And then in the kitchen, I will prep a whole bunch of heavy stainless, usually the old school stainless steel knives that with the big old handles.
Mm-hmm.
I'll superheat them and superheat beer Stockholm, all the beers for the beer pairing dinner. But for regular consumers, not so much.
Gotcha. Can't really do it. Yeah, it's like I've been wanting to try it for so long. A few breweries here do it from time to time, and some people do it seriously. Like I even went to we were in Fort Lauderdale for like 6 weeks this time last year, and Invasive Species out there did it. And when I went there specifically for it, they heated up with gas and ran out of gas. I'm like, God damn it! There's a brewery here I was at last night, and they would do it. They do it occasionally, but they do the thing where they heat it up in coals, so they do it very occasionally to do it a little bit more traditionally. So it was like, oh man, I just want to really try it. And this Doppelbock is like absolutely perfect for it because it would like intensify the caramel. It'd be like sugary caramel type of thing, right?
I've done it, and the foam turns into basically marshmallow. So it's very much marshmallow because the burnt sugar on there, but like a deep burnt caramel and marshmallow. It turns out really cool.
Oh man, I gotta try it so bad. So there's almost no chance really, like for the average time that you guys would be able to do it, probably because it breaches the.
Well, because we have so many people. Our patrons, we have
the amount of time.
It's so difficult to do it on a large scale. On a small scale, I can do it, or like people pop back in the brewery, will nuts around with it. On a large scale, it's very difficult to execute.
Gotcha. So next time I come through, I'll message you, and we'll.
Yeah, I'll grab it. It's right up on my shelf.
What styles work best with it? Is it like the Doppelbock, or is it kind of anything? Like you could do it with a Dunkel, you could do it with a Schwarzbier.
The darker the beer, because it's got the dark caramel notes, those really heat up nice. I've tried it with the Hefeweizen, was not pleasant at all. I tried it with the lager, not pleasant,
not working.
But yeah, the more residual sugars. Those sugars will caramelize, and it turns out really, really good.
Oh, man. Okay, we'll talk.
Yeah, totally.
I'm gagging to try it. I just feel like this style, like a Schwarzbier, Dunkel, something like that, would just be so phenomenal with it. Okay, amazing. Was there anything else where we needed to touch on tonight? Did we cover everything? I
think we pretty well did. The system, the history. The different beers.
How you?
I think we got it all.
Yeah.
Need to go to Munich. Yeah.
We need to get Scott to Munich. I just feel like it's it's unfair. It's absolutely unfair. We need to I don't know if you can send this to the head office, but they need to understand. They're gonna get you out there. You have they should take all of you guys, all of the head brewers from all of the different US places.
We've tried it. We've put in for it, our Braumeister conference. Why don't we do it in Munich? They're like,
no. I mean, I feel like it would make sense to try and expose the people who are essentially helming the brand in North America to be exposed more to. It should be an annual trip where you all go in there and you're all all right, what's coming up next year and what are some of the tricks, and they'll share some information. It just feels logical, but got to keep working on them, I guess.
Yeah.
But
a little bit each day.
A little bit, just edging out there. But dude, honestly, Scott, man, thank you so much for taking the time. This was so fantastic. Like this is like, I love this so much. I really appreciate your time, and I
Absolutely.
appreciate everything that you're doing, man. This is like such a wonderful, it was an incredible experience for me, but just the brewery and what you guys do for Western New York, I think, and just how you really well, you described it so well, like how you represent for the community, how local it is, and um, what you contribute to the sort of landscape of what's happening in the area. And I think that's sort of what I wanted to sort of position tonight. And the beers are just exceptional. I love them so much. The food is incredible. The experience is great. I really want to get down. Would it be fair to say the best time of year is Oktoberfest?
Oktoberfest.
Okay.
Oktoberfest weekends are absolutely nuts.
Okay.
I'll do stein molding competitions. There's barrel parades. There's everything going on all the time.
It's nonstop. Do you have to book, or do you not book? You just rock up.
Reservations are always the best here.
The best way. Okay, good to know. Okay. I very much want to do it. Just now, the more I've been down there, the more I'm just like, I just love the food. I love the beer, and I just like, yeah, it's so fun. Even that Pilsner in June, July, sounds absolutely incredible, man. But just thank you for your time and just sharing all this information, man. I just think it's like what you're doing there, and the relationship with Munich and the whole Hofbräu experience, across America with the 6 different breweries is just like fascinating to hear it from your side, from the Buffalo experience and what you're doing for, the local. And you've been there for 10 years. You've worked at breweries in Buffalo. Like you're really bringing that like real Buffalo experience to it. So it's embedded in the community, but it's bringing a flavor of the German stuff, which is like just unique and so cool. I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you guys are doing, man. It's so sick.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
We should definitely do this again. So we'll keep in touch. Stick around. We'll finish this up off air. Where can everybody find Hofbräu? Do you know off the top of your head where can everybody find Hofbräuhaus Buffalo online and in real life?
We are located at 190 Scott Street in Buffalo.
Okay.
Easy to remember. Same as my first name. I learned that one early.
Look at that.
Hofbräuhausbuffalo.com. You can do reservations on Resi or give us a call. Easier to give us a call because we're always busy here.
Yeah, it's pretty hectic. And there is a specific, I think it's hofbräuhaus.buffalo or something like that on Instagram. You'll be able to find it if people want to tag.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Probably.
Yeah.
It might be, yes.
I'm pretty sure if I've Hofbräuhaus Buffalo Instagram. I'm pretty sure it's Hofbräuhaus Buffalo on Instagram.
Easy enough.
And that has a bunch of information about by the way, just like the Valentine's menu, because we're recording this on the Friday the 13th. Well, now it's the 14th. All the different events, March Madness and all the different stuff like that. So it's a lot of events on there, so you'll be able to see that what's going on. Which is very, very cool. But I love it. Scott, once again, stick around. We'll finish up off air. Dude, thank you so much for your time, man. I'm glad we connected. Really appreciate your time for doing this. I know you're a busy guy and you're handling a lot of Krispies in metric system. So it's a lot. You're dealing with a lot, so I appreciate you. A little bit. So it's beautiful. Guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit that notification bell. So you see, Scotty's telling you. So you know when the new drops. Follow us everywhere at BAOS Podcast. Check out the long form audio. Give us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Not for me, goddammit, but for Uncle Scott, for Hofbräuhaus Buffalo. And we will see y'all in the next one. Cheers, y'all.